It's the Krueger Show. It's golden days. I should probably switch these up here. There we go. We got a panel coming soon. We're going to talk about that brutal loss. Larry, you ready to go, brother?
I'm always ready, born ready. The eve of the NFL draft and a lot of Warrior hoop to talk about. And I one time had a pelvic contusion. Stop, please. No.
A bruised coccyx? Is that what you're referring to? Jimmy Butler? We got a lot to discuss. This series is tied 1-1. It's the Krueger Show. It's gold.
Let's go. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. Help you out.
Panel in the house. Larry Krueger. Oh, we should have a fun one tonight. Larry, who is paying your bills, brother? I know you got some amazing sponsors. Fire away, sir. Good to see you.
Well, you know, the Krueger Show always brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. In Emeryville, they get the big screen TV rolling so you can watch Warrior playoff games while you're wolfing down awesome barbecue.
Hey now.
Oh, seriously, that might be a great spot to go watch Warrior games in the Emeryville public marketplace. So they're there, and check them out 7 days a week. Brisket, chili. The brisket chili is amazing. It's all amazing though. Pulled pork, chicken, house-made sausages. They do it right, man. They do it right, and they're open 7 days a week. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. We're gonna have to do a remote from there. A live stream remote from there after one of these playoff games.
Yeah,
we'll eat like kings. We'll drink like kings. We can do a watch party if you want, Si. We'll do a little meetup with the Golden Days crowd and the Krueger Show. We all meet up at Pig and a Pickle, eat some amazing barbecue, and watch the Warriors hopefully win some games. So
I would be down for that.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks to them. Thanks to also Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They are at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, and in Monterey. Thanks to Anthony Catania, the old owner there at 831-521-5264. And of course, we're brought to you by Mancini Sleep World as well.
Of course.
Mancini Sleep World is definitely paying our bills. So you can get 10% off at any Mancini's. All you got to do is use the code KRUG10. So if you go to
right below Larry, right below you, sir. There it is.
You go to Mancini's, you order a bed, you order 3 beds, and it's, $15,000. You're going to save $1,500 because you know me. So, or that you're, basically you're listening to the Krug Show. So Krug 10, and you'll get 10% off at Mancini. So, or on their website, sleepworld.com. So thanks to all of them. And then Claudaddy Arcades, of course, is one of our sponsors as well. Thanks to Claudaddy. He's a great follow on Instagram, family-friendly entertainment, Claudaddy Arcades. He's a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. He's got a brand new arcade opening in Northern California. He's got one in Fresno, one in Modesto, 3 in Southern Cal. And he's a big fan of the show. So Claudaddy Arcades is one of our sponsors, and LearnKey Upskill Academy. And all the links for all of our sponsors are in the description below. LearnKey's awesome. If you're out of a job or between jobs, you need to get more skills. It's a place you can go get skilled. They do a bunch of different certification programs for a whole array of professions. And if you're not making the kind of cash, the kind of bread, the kind of loot, the kind of cake you need to be making, you know what? Make a change. Get more skills and put more money in your pocket. So big fans of them, and all the links to all of our sponsors are in the description below. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show.
Beautiful. And of all those sponsors, the Krug 10 promo discount on a mattress, 10% off on a mattress can be hundreds of dollars. So that's a great deal among many. I'm going to get to my sponsors in just a second. I don't want to keep Ryan Smith. I don't want to keep Frank Red waiting anymore. So let's bring the panel into the show. We got Dan Coach Emilio joining us in just a little bit. I think he's doing a SF Giants post-game show. So Stay tuned for that. But let me fix this.
Do you like the screen? Oh, there we go.
We're not all blocked. I'm trying to fix this right now. Sorry about that.
Hey,
let's get into it. Larry, great
How
to
you
see
guys
you.
doing?
Great to see you. I'm going to fix this in just a second. And Ryan, great to see you. Larry, you're the king of Bay Area sports media. So I defer to you, sir. I bow to you. Your immediate reaction. The Golden State Warriors losing this one in Houston. It seemed over the moment Jimmy Butler took that nasty fall, even though there was fight. It stayed close until pretty much the end. But I think your hopes diminished fast when Jimmy Butler took that fall. Larry, great to see you, brother, and your reaction.
Yeah, it was a great game one. Warriors got the split. Okay, I expected this to be a long series. Some of my good friends were talking sweep, and I'm like, come on, you got to be kidding me. Golden State is old. Houston had 3 starters in game one that were playing the first playoff game of their life in the NBA, okay? So Golden State had a decided advantage in game one. They stole game one, but the Houston Rockets are the 2 seed. The Houston Rockets are the more talented team, and they're the younger team and the ascending team. So this was really bad news tonight. The Warriors, I think, really needed to, absolutely win this game, step on their throat, take the commanding lead, get the rest going into Minnesota, LA round 2. And I thought it was a huge thing. So tonight could not have gone worse. They lost the game. It almost guarantees to be a long series. They may not win it. And even though, they were 17-2 in the last 19 against the Rockets coming in, it's amazing how the momentum can shift on a dime. And now you got a pelvic contusion. I can already hear people calling 95.7 the game tomorrow saying, I had a pelvic contusion, and let me tell you about it. No, please, Frank and San Leandro, don't tell us about your pelvic contusion. I don't want to hear about your pelvic contusion. But he landed hard with 2.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter. Him and Amen Thompson. I'll say this, a couple things. This game after that was kind of done, but they really were letting this thing be physical early.
Yes.
I mean, Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks were banging bodies. Those were swapping paint in NASCAR terms. They were really banging down low early in the game. Moody had a violent pick on Amen Thompson that was probably the highlight of his NBA career, in my opinion, to date. I mean, Moses was awesome with that pick. If you guys remember that in the first quarter, that thing was just stiff. And then, the whole thing, comes to a halt. Houston's up 20-11. Moses hits a couple threes, and Jimmy Butler falls hard. And now, goes back to the locker room, pelvic contusion. MRI tomorrow, and we'll find out where the series goes. And I think it all kind of sways right there. As soon as the Warriors got in that second quarter where they had Draymond, Curry, and Butler all out with 1:39 left in the first quarter, I thought, wow, they're in for it. Hield missed, Santos missed, Looney missed badly, and they just looked like, they're going to get their doors blown off. And sure enough, it was a wire-to-wire job.
There's a lot to unpack here. Frank, I'm going to go to you next, and then Ryan, great to see everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see everyone's names and handles right below them. Got to give some love to my sponsors real fast. If you folks don't mind, I'll get through this quick. Frank, you play music on your show, so I figure you might appreciate this. I've only met one person in my entire life who has actually just told me I don't like music. I've met one person ever. It's the most popular format of media, I think, of anything. And if you want some live music at your event, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a birthday, whether it's a fundraiser, whether it's just a good old-fashioned backyard rager, this band has you covered. They're called Decades. Their website is Decades Official. And if you can see the screen, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see some pictures of the band right there. And that's what they do. They're so
Can
good
they
at
play Rock You Like a Hurricane by the
Yes.
Scorpions?
Yes, they cover everything from Chuck Berry.
Do they take requests?
Everything from the 50s to today, music for all age groups. They will play the Catalina wine mixer. They'll do it all. And Larry, I know your show has a lot of Niners fans. This band, Decades, their website is decadesofficial.com. They are the official pregame party band for the 49ers for their Red Zone rallies next door at California's Great America. They played Eddie D's private shindig in Montana. Yes, the Eddie D who oversaw the Niners winning 5 Super Bowls. They're an awesome band, and they're available for you. They're locals, by the way, from Chico. They're Golden Dazers as well as Niners fans. Contact Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com to book them for your event. Again, Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com, or check out decadesofficial.com. Today's episode also brought to you by Visit Humboldt. If you're looking for a place to visit, check out Humboldt, my former stomping grounds. I used to be a student at Humboldt State University, which is now called Cal Poly Humboldt. And in my 2 years as a resident in Arcata, California, I love the place so much. I try to make a trip every year, at least once a year, to go hiking, enjoy the natural.
Is that you hiking?
No, it's not me. I know, but
kind of polished,
much more handsome than me. But regardless, check out visithumboldt.com to find places to stay, things to do. You can DM me as a resource. I can give you the locals' perspective. Go check it out. Thank me later. It is a beautiful place. Visithumboldt.com. Back to the show. Frank, great to see you, brother. What was your reaction to this game? And how are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. And thank you for having me. And what's up, fellas? I love to see all you guys doing so well. Rye, you and I got to talk Sinners at some point. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know if you have or not.
And Ryan, with the professional internet connection, he's got the high band going. I mean, as you can see, his screen freezing there. That is what the pros do. They show up. They pay the lowest price possible to Xfinity or whoever's providing internet, so you get that bare minimum internet connection to get freezing, to get glitching. That is what we come here for, Ryan. Great to see you, brother.
Yeah.
Right, you might need to reboot, right? Because you're pretty glitchy, man. And dude, we need premium rye. We can't go with this frozen look, and it's frozen in a weird way right now too. It's kind of you're really frozen. You're in a bad moment right here, so we need to switch this up.
I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to take him out right now. We got to leave that, right?
Yeah, no, it's classic. It's classic.
Yeah, go ahead, Larry. Sorry.
I was going to say, and then of course the great Dan Coach Emilio will stop by right now. He's still probably in mourning about the Giants.
Did they lose today?
No, I don't know. They're probably playing. I think they're playing right now. Let me see. I was when the Warriors go in the playoffs, I say Giants. I'm taking a rest. I'm taking a break. It's 4-2. Giants won 4-2. So I'm sure Danny's on his channel right now saying, all is right with the world. Logan Webb's God. Camilo Doval's the best. Something like that.
Ryan's finally going to reboot. Hopefully, let's start. Look, the talking. There's going to be a lot that people are going to be talking about the next day, besides a bruised coccyx and folks' personal experiences with that. But I feel like the headline's going to be Draymond Green. He got into that verbal altercation, whatever you want to call that, with Fred VanVleet near the end of the game. I don't know what they were talking about, but earlier in the game, you had the Jimmy Butler fall, and Amen Thompson basically undercuts Jimmy as he's getting massive vertical to grab a board. His legs are taken out from underneath him. He falls damn hard on his ass. Bruised coccyx. They're going to conduct an MRI tomorrow morning. And then obviously you have Rockets fans primarily trying to drive a narrative that Draymond Green pushed Amen and into Jimmy Butler, and that it was actually Draymond Green's fault, if I'm speaking proper grammar there. My point is, Larry, I'll start with you. What was your reaction to that play? Was it dirty? Was it inadvertent? And just your thoughts on Jimmy. Suddenly his absence is a thing. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, it was kind of a ricocheting of bodies like you see in a football play. It really was that kind of a thing where I kind of felt like Thompson lost a little bit of control because he got kind of shoved by Green, and then he's looking back and he's not looking forward, and then all of a sudden he's colliding as well. So on the other end, so I thought Green kind of caused it, but watching it several times, it didn't seem like egregious. It wasn't like he, two hands shivered him and pushed him really hard, but he definitely kind of pushed him. And then Thompson went into into the other guy. So I kind of thought Green kind of, initiated the movement. I didn't blame Thompson.
What about you, Frank?
Yeah, I didn't see Green push him. He might have nudged him a little bit. Both of the Thompson twins, they kind of go reckless abandonment to the basketball. So that's one of those weird basketball plays. It can be scary. I think the good thing is Jimmy Butler fell on his butt. That's a tough injury because it hurts. It really does hurt. I remember doing it one time when I was in Korea playing on a U.S. All-Star team, and a guy from Korea slammed it to me. It takes about a day. I would be surprised if Jimmy Butler doesn't play. It wasn't egregious or malicious. It was a tough basketball play. He lost his balance. The good thing for me, not wanting anybody to get hurt, is I got a chance to take a look at Jonathan Kuminga.
We're obviously going to talk about that. Yeah.
We'll get into that later on. But this is a game that Houston,
we can do now. Yeah.
Well, this is a game that Houston needed to win, and they came out with more intensity. Jalen Green had 38 points. He made 8 of 13 from 3. The onus is on the Warriors to make an adjustment to make sure that doesn't happen in Game 3. I haven't seen anything from Houston that would worry me to the extent that the Warriors can't win. Even if Jimmy Butler doesn't play, I expect the Warriors to come out with more intensity and put on a good performance.
Larry, I thought of you because I'm literally going to give a personal testimonial about bruised coccyx. How do you say that in plural? Bruised coccyx. I broke my tailbone when I was young, and so and Stephen Curry just experienced this. He missed 2 games. In case people forgot, it was the Atlanta and the Miami games of that 5-game road trip earlier in the season, a couple months ago. He severely bruised his pelvis. They're calling this a pelvic contusion, which is a fancy word for a bruised coccyx. Jonathan Kuminga experienced something similar. Basically, the injury is a pain in the ass, no pun intended, in the sense that it hurts like a bitch, just like what Frank said. There's also nothing you could do for treatment. It's I remember when I was young, it was one of the tactics that was taught to all the drug users. Look, if you want to get a prescription for Vicodin, you go to the doctor and you say you broke your tailbone, because there's nothing they can do about it. The only treatment recovery, the only plan is just rest. Yeah. And it's a pain threshold thing at that point. So the good news is, if that's what this is, and we're going to get an MRI tomorrow morning to confirm what the injury is. But like Frank said, if it's just if the injury is just a bruised tailbone, even if it's a broken tailbone, there's nothing you could do about it. And it's going to come down to that point. There's no long-term ramifications for Jimmy Butler playing through it. Like, he's not risking the injury elevating and becoming more serious. So it's literally a pain threshold thing where you just do your best to suck it up. Kuminga missed the game because of it. Steph missed 2 games because of it, but I also don't remember them having 2 full days off in between games. Game 3 is not until Saturday. So, Larry, I go to you because I know you mocked personal testimonials when it comes to a bruised coccyx, but given that the
what's up? Hey, what's up, Guru? What's going on, Steiny? Hey, I had that. I just wanted to let you guys know I had that. Yeah. Shut up. I don't want to hear about it. Hey, Riseback.
Premium.
Look at that. Look at that. Now he's not just back. I mean, he's like on a whole new level.
He does. He looks clean. That's a clean feed. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Butler, man? He's probably – I'm going to predict he's going to play in Game 3. I'm going to predict he's going to suck it up. He's going to come back. The shock of that injury probably rattled his system a little bit, and it's why he missed the rest of the game. It does hurt like a son of a bitch, but given that there's no long-term ramifications here, it's just a matter of whether or not Jimmy can deal with the pain, right? What are your thoughts on Jimmy Butler's injury, Ryan? Good to see you.
Well, I was listening to your personal experience with the injury and the little tidbit about the Vicodin. So I think what you're saying basically is, Jimmy's gonna play. It's just whether or not we get Jimmy Perks. We might have Jimmy Perks. I still think Jimmy Perks is going to be quite a good player, and probably enough for them to get a win on their home floor. I mean, it's terrible. I absolutely wanted to crash out after it happened, especially with Pajemski and the flu. I'm sure you guys have already kind of hit on the physicality of things, but it was the first time where I was like I was feeling a little bit like a wimp, kind of like, I like it when there's no foul calls. And you've been kind of seeing it across all the playoff games, especially in the West, but like not to this degree. Like it crossed a threshold to where I was just it just kind of sucked. Like I didn't really like watching it. And also when it's like Steph Curry, you're watching him and it's like the entire time he's just being hacked and held and all this stuff. And even when Jimmy went out and like I saw people tweeting out like, okay, today's the day, Steph, you got to, put up 35 shots. In my mind, I was like, I don't even think he's going to be able to get off more than 12 or 13 shots because he's just getting like he's not able to even get the ball and like get off a semi-clean look. So yeah, I'm pretty
Dan's
worried.
here, everybody. Dan's here.
Dan, you're looking pretty premium as well.
Just want to let everybody know that Dan's here.
Hey, Larry. Thanks, Larry.
It really sucks because I feel like this game, I mean, the fact that the Rockets really never, they got it to like 15, but they never like fully broke. The Rockets should have been up 25, 30 at points. I mean, some of those lineups they're rolling out there were just disgusting. And it really sucks because I feel like in my mind, I was like, okay, the Rockets are going to come out, throw a haymaker. If they can sustain that, which I think they kind of did when it was like 2011. And then it felt like the Warriors would be able to come back and win that game pretty easily with Jimmy. So,
you know what I've realized? I hate sporting events where you have some major player go out early where you're going to lose way before the end of the game. And you wind up watching a game for a long time that you're like, you really, it starts being like your least favorite game that you've seen in a long time. I mean, this reminded me a little bit of the Purdy game, not to bring it to the Niners, but just he's knocked out. There's no chance they're beating the Eagles. I knew Houston was going to win tonight. I bet Houston. I hate to say it, but I bet Houston.
I did too.
And it was, they
Don't
were
hate to say it. You won money. Congratulations.
I mean, I knew they were going to bounce back. I bet him because I thought Pajemski was going to be out because there was a report about an hour before the game that he was sick and he wasn't going to play. And so I thought, you know what? You're losing a good rebounder. It's game 2. You already came to town to get the split. You got your split. Houston's a really good team. They had 3 guys that were playing their first playoff game last game out. They're probably going to be a whole lot better this time out. They were, but I obviously wasn't expecting Butler to go down. But now with Butler going down, that's the big negative for Golden State. I thought the big positive tonight was that Post looked really good. And Kuminga is, they shook off the rust and got him out there. And I think they got to have him. So to me, I didn't know how he was going to get back on the floor. We'll see where it goes from here. But I thought there were some positives that came out of the loss.
Oh, there were. And we welcome Dan Coach Emilio as well. He just finished blasting Farhan on his show, even though he's no longer the GM of the Giants. That's what happens when you're traumatized. It carries over until the next season. I have no idea, in all honesty. But Dan, great to see you. And we're going to get into the Kuminga thing because that's clearly going to be the massive talking point here. Kuminga DNP'd for 3 straight games, and then he's forced to play following the Jimmy Butler injury. We're going to break that down because Kuminga's haters are out in full force. But Dan, good to see you and your reaction to the Warriors losing tonight. Again, the one difference real fast, Larry, between Purdy going down with the injury and Philly and this one, that Niners game, when Purdy went down, it was over, literally, when that happened. The Warriors kept the Dub Nation's hopes alive tonight because they were within 11 or 9 in the fourth quarter. Like they kept this thing close until the very end and it ended up being just a massive tease. But Dan, good to see your reaction, sir.
Yeah, I mean, Houston was hot. I mean, look at Green. He couldn't miss tonight, and the Rockets were physical. They were motivated. They had to win tonight, otherwise the series is practically over. Going to San Francisco down 2-0.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at best they could hope for a split and it'd be 3-1. So, but I do think the way the game was officiated tonight with all of the physical activity that was happening, here's what I look for Saturday night. Udoka was heard on the mic in the huddle saying, keep fouling. They're not going to call it. And that's going to hear the NBA is going to hear that. And you watch what happens Saturday night. There'll be quick whistles on everything in the beginning because they have to get control of the game. Otherwise, the series could just be a massive civil war. It could be like a World War III, the way this game's going. going. But I do think the Warriors get the benefit of the calls early, and the fact that Udoka said that he told his team, just keep fouling. They're not going to call it. That is one of the stupidest things you can say on a mic, because the league's going to hear that. And
I don't know if he
come
said
back.
keep fouling. I think he might have just been said keep playing physical or something.
They're not calling it. He says they're not going to call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and again, this is playoff basketball. I love it, don't you guys? I mean, Larry, do you like
different seasons.
the refs letting things go a little more in the postseason?
I
wish
do.
they could just-
I do. I like it to be a little chippier. It doesn't bother me at all. To me, it's announcing to the players, hey, it's a different. It's not the regular season. We're going to do it a little differently. It's okay. But as far as the Warriors in this series, I think one thing that I want to see them do a whole lot more of, probably one of the most underrated players. It's kind of weird because he's super underrated and yet he's super overpaid. And usually those things don't go hand in hand. But Van Vliet is just being paid just a mint, but he is a super underrated player. And I don't know if you saw the numbers this year, but the Rockets, when they didn't have Van Vliet this year, were 11-11. So he's a key guy. He played 42 minutes tonight, and he didn't have any turnovers. He was not a good night for him shooting, right? He was 1 for 7 from 3, 2 from 8 from the field. He only had 7 points, but he was plus 19, didn't turn it over at all.
Yeah.
3 steals, you know what I'm saying? He's 6 rebounds. He's just a winning type player. And to me, if there would be one plan of attack, if you're trying to get one player off the floor that would make them a whole lot worse as a team, I think if you look at closely, it's him. So I'd like to see the Warriors isolate him a little bit in game 3, early in the game, try to go at him, try to get him some fouls early and see if you can get him off the floor, because I don't think they have a replacement for him. The rest of this team, though, Sengun is awesome. He was 17 and 16 tonight, had that incredible dunk early. Jalen Green, that dunk that he had over Moses in the second quarter, that was savage. He's really, really something.
Mhm.
And then Brooks seems like he's in pretty good shape. Thompson can run up and down. They're long. They've got athletes, on the bench, Jabari, Eason. I mean, they got guys. So I'm eager to see how this series goes. I thought the Warriors' best chance was to stomp them early, get the first couple games, don't give them life, and just move on. And just before they even know what hits them, the series is over. But now it's a 1-1 series going back to Oakland or back to San Francisco, and no Jimmy Butler maybe. And I'll stay with it. I think the Rockets are going to get this series. I mean, I think the Rockets are going to win it in 7.
That's a bold prediction, man. You might be right. I don't even know if it's bold, actually. I think you're the Fred VanVleet.
They're younger. They're the 2 seed. This is a 2-7 matchup. They are the 2.
No, and again, I'm not sitting here disagreeing. I just it's just you just came out and did the prediction right there, man. I'm just kind of like I was taken back.
I did it.
Yeah,
I did it. We did it before the series. I said Rockets in 7, but I just listening to some of the people talking about this series after game 1, I heard a lot of sweep, and it's like, okay, you know what? The hardest job was going to be this game, coming back game 2 on the road and really, basically snuffing out their candle on their home floor and what's the odds? I think the team that wins game 1 and 2 on the road wins 96% of the time. So, today was an essential, I think, for the Warriors' whole run in this thing, because I think they need to get to the second round fresh.
Yes.
If they're going to the next round.
Well, and I've made that argument too, Larry, that the longer this series goes, the more of a disadvantage it is to the Warriors because of their age and the fact that after game 3, you're only going to have 1 day off in between each of these games, starting with game 4. And that's going to benefit a younger, a more athletic, bigger Rockets team. Here's what I want to do, if you folks don't mind, if you gentlemen are okay with this. We have a lot of paid chats, and a lot of these paid chats, I think, address a lot of the topics we're going to cover tonight. So let's get into it. And we start with Julian Bashir, who drops $10 for this commentary, which I'm glad he did, because I wanted to touch on this as well. Pat Spencer comes into the game. This is, I believe, early second quarter when he comes in, and he comes in primarily because Brandon Pajemski has food poisoning. That's what he's dealing with. We don't know what he ate or what happened specifically, but if you've experienced food poisoning, you know how rough that is. And you know how depending on what it is, like for me, when I have food poisoning, I feel like I'm dying, dude. Like I literally feel like this could be it for me. I hate it. It's one of my least favorite experiences in life. And Brandon Pajemski's going through this today. So he disappears into the tunnel. Him and Jimmy Butler are both MIA, dealing with their own illnesses and injuries. So Pat Spencer comes in. And I thought Pat Spencer was actually playing some really good basketball. His final stat line in this game, 5 of 7 from the field, a perfect 1 of 1 from deep, 11 points, adds an assist, adds a rebound. I love the energy that he brought to the table. And then as Julian mentions, we don't see him again. And this is where, like Pajemski does come back in the second half. Apparently he's feeling strong enough, but I don't understand why you abandoned the hot hand. I didn't get that. Moses Moody, another player who in that second quarter, when Jimmy Butler goes down, Kuminga, I think the injury actually happened at the end of the first quarter. So Kuminga makes his first appearance because Jimmy Butler's out. But we also saw Moses Moody just vanish for pretty much the entire second quarter. A guy who starts and a guy who could not find a role on this team until Jimmy Butler's added. And then Steve Kerr, and again, there's no explanation for this other than it's how he feels, right? This is how these decisions are made. And Steve Kerr feels that Moses Moody has a role in this team when Jimmy Butler's there. When Jimmy Butler's out, we saw what happened in that second quarter. And Moses Moody was contributing before getting benched. And then we're going to get into the Kuminga stuff in just a second. But Frank, I'll start with you. I'm just going in order here. Your reaction to the minutes, to the adjustments that were made by the Golden State Warriors when Butler first went down. What's your reaction to that?
I gotta give Kirk credit. I thought, they tried to play a little zone action. I think that kind of caught Houston off guard a little bit. Pat Spencer, I'm never surprised when he plays well. He's like a kind of a Ty Jerome. I don't want to say it too loud; people get nervous. But
I don't care, man. I don't care.
But I'm being facetious. I know. But you know what? I mean, this is one of the top lacrosse players in the world. All right, I played lacrosse, which means
me too. Larry, right?
Yeah, he's a tough-minded guy. So he has some physical limitations. I think Houston was kind of caught off guard, and he came out there and just kind of did his thing. So I would not have mind seeing him in the second half, but when Podge probably went to Kerr and said that I can go back in, coach, I get it because that's Podge's role. I think he's done enough. It didn't work because Podge didn't play well. He wasn't 100%. But a little feather in Spencer's cap to the extent that Kerr knows now that he has a player who's not scared. And it's going to take a collective effort on Saturday because I think the Warriors are going to win just simply because they're going to do what Houston did. Houston came out with a level of intensity that the Warriors didn't have, and they got on top of them.
Yeah.
So whether or not they shoot well or not, I think you're going to see more intensity from an array of players on Saturday afternoon. When the Warriors
I agree. Kerr's got to feel really good about Spencer at the top of the three-point line shooting bank shots. He's got to feel really good.
Did he call it?
No, he did not.
that was the ugliest looking game three I've ever seen.
Hey, man.
But Pat Spencer played 8 minutes, 38 seconds in the second quarter. In that same quarter, Moses Moody played all of 14 seconds. So that's where that point is made. And Julian Bashir adds as well. And this is, we got to talk about this because it was stark tonight. It was very noticeable tonight. Stephen Curry, 6 turnovers. Draymond Green, 5 turnovers. Steph's are particularly egregious to me because oftentimes you see players like Şengün just take the ball from him. They're just overpowering him with these double teams.
I got to stand up for him on that. I feel like in at least 3 of those, whoever was guarding him, whether it was Fred VanVleet or Jalen Green, they've got arms around his back. And then Şengün's able to come up and reach through. He's getting all kinds of arm and they're just falling down on the ball and just taking it from him. There's no other point guard, especially star point guard in the league that doesn't get those foul calls. He shouldn't be allowed to just be absolutely
Harden and Shea. It's automatic call. Yeah.
But even with the refs taking their foot off the gas a little bit with the whistle, you still think tonight was egregious. I'm not disagreeing, but I just want, with that element in mind, do you still think it's just ridiculous?
Yeah, well, I think Draymond's were really bad. I think for Curry, the problem, especially when you don't have Pods and shockingly when you don't have Pat Spencer out there, is you just don't have another reliable guy with the ball in his hands who like knows to come to Steph and receive the pass. Like he was out there, and it's like, there's Guy Santos and Quentin Post and a lot of guys that I really like, but it's like they don't know what to do. They don't know to come to the ball. So yeah, I can't really knock. I also think Steph was trying to just make things happen because honestly, he just didn't. He was trying so hard off ball just to get any space, any type of anything, and when he started forcing it, yeah.
I mean, the problem on this team right now is their guards have just evaporated. Obviously, Steph is Steph, great, all-time great, but Podziemski tonight 14 minutes and was ill, didn't give him anything. Gary Payton has given them very little. I thought he would give them a lot more than he has. And Buddy Hield is pretty much a zero. So if you're getting nothing out of GP2, and it looks like he's got kind of a bum right shoulder, I thought he banged that thing pretty bad tonight in the first half.
Crazy no call.
And then Hield is giving you zip. So what are you getting out of the backcourt? I mean, it's you're not getting a whole lot out of the backcourt, and that's hurting this team badly. Obviously, it's not a big, it's not a big basketball team. I'll tell you the guy though that really I thought seized the moment tonight was Quentin Post. It almost felt like they were going to come back on on his ability to shoot the three ball. I mean, he really his range on that three, it looks good. I mean, it really does for a rookie in this moment to be playing 25 minutes and getting double figures and shooting the three is, with confidence the way he is. That's a major subplot, even though the series is 1-1.
No, that's a great call. Quentin Post, I thought, was fantastic. Shot 50% from deep, 4 of 8 shooting. But let's go back to Larry. I think you brought up an excellent point, man, which is those three guards: Podziemski, GP2, Buddy Hield. Those three to me represent a colossal weakness on this team. If they weren't getting the minutes that they get, wouldn't be an issue. But Steve Kerr values these three tremendously. Side note: Brandon Podziemski tonight, guys, a Tony Snell evening. Zeros across the board. Not a single bucket made.
Goose
not a single
eggs.
assist. Not a single rebound. Not a single steal. No blocks. Not even a turnover, which is the only positive probably. But Brandon Podziemski, zeros across the board. 0-2 from 3. 0-5 from the field. A -11 in net rating. And if you're a coach, like, is the impetus on you in this situation to maybe look at your player and see someone who's like dealing with a serious illness and think to yourself, sit your ass on the bench? Like, Frank, how do you, like, those three players specifically, as the GP2 part of it is the most egregious to me. Maybe Buddy Hield is more egregious. I don't know. But that is a gross mishandling of this roster to me in terms of minutes. Buddy Hield had 15 minutes tonight. GP2 had 12 minutes tonight. Podziemski, who's dying out there, 14 minutes. Those were not good minutes. Frank, I'll start with you, man. What are your thoughts on those three guards specifically who do not consistently bring it?
I mean, first of all, they're asked to do different things. I mean, when GP2 is out there, he's playing his game, he's there to turn players' water off. Like on Saturday, you're going to see him really try to get into Jalen
Green.
Jalen Green. So I get that. The missed dunk is inexplicable. All right. I mean, you should not be missing dunks. Pods, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with him. I mean, I root for him, but his shot selection sometimes is just it's gripping. And Buddy Hield's shot selection is worse. So, like, there was a sequence in the second quarter where the game was like 5 or 6 points, and Pod shoots for like 20 seconds on the shot clock. And then Buddy Hield comes down and kind of launches a three. I mean, these guys, to me, I understand you got to have confidence as an NBA player, but they don't play to their strengths all the time. And sometimes that costs the Warriors game and situational basketball. Play like Jimmy Butler. Get to the basket. Recognize the shot clock. So intellectually, Buddy Hield's one of the worst in the NBA in terms of just understanding basketball. But Pod sometimes gets overconfidence in his ability, and I think he can calm it down and make better plays. So yeah, you're right. I mean, collectively, if Steph's not going well, they got problems at the guard position unless they put Moody in there and maybe Kuminga. You know, I want to beat them up too bad because they have good runs, but tonight they were not good. They were not, and shot selection was a problem.
You know, GP2, just to give you his stat line, and Brian, I'd love to get your thoughts on this, but GP2, 0 across the board as well. Not a Tony Snell night because he did have 1 assist and 1 rebound, but he had 1 3-point attempt, which totally bricked. He was 0 of 3 from the field, and Frank, you brought up that missed dunk. And I heard the commentator after that saying the high-flying GP2. He is not the high flyer he once was. A 12 minutes, 6 seconds of play, 0 points. Defensively, not the lockdown guy. He can't even grab rebounds effectively. The GP2 part of this is where I cringe the hardest. I just don't get it. This guy couldn't find minutes 3 years ago for Kerr when they really needed him. Now he has all the minutes in the world when they don't need him. Ryan, am I being too harsh? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, he's a 5'11" power forward. It might not be his series necessarily, especially like and he is still a great defensive player. But I just, man, when Jimmy's gone, all of a sudden you saw like no deflections, nobody's getting in the lanes. So he just was pretty neutralized. The dunk was bad. Still not as bad as Aaron Gordon the other night. I don't know if you guys caught that. Holy crap, that was bad. But yeah, it just, it kind of goes to show, like, I don't know. I hear guys like, I listen to a lot of these NBA guys, Bill Simmons or whatever, and like they like to make a lot of excuses. I'm not like taking a shot at Jokic, but like they make a lot of excuses for like, oh my God, you see who Jokic is having to carry? And it's like, I don't know. Jamal Murray is like kind of like an all-time playoff performer, and like Porter Jr., yeah, he kind of goes in and out of games. He's still 6'10", hits threes.
Did you see Jamal Murray, by the way, pick up Norman Powell the other night?
Yes.
Goofiest play ever.
Dude,
sorry, go ahead.
And it's like Christian Braun. I think Christian Braun's kind of like Pods, maybe a little bit better. And Aaron Gordon's an awesome player who knows his role. And it's kind of like this Warriors. And so it's like, oh my God, he's carrying these guys. And then I look at this Warriors roster, and if you take off Jimmy Butler, you see that this team is not very good. Like, just the amount of talent they have is just not very good. It kind of works when you have Butler. Somehow everything connects, and they're able to patchwork it, and it works. But I'm sure we're going to move on to this Kuminga conversation at some point. It's not even so much that, like, oh my God, they really screwed the pooch by not continuing to play Kuminga and getting him, but whatever. It's more so that Kuminga spot, even if they had traded him at the trade deadline, it's just like that was such a valuable spot in this team. And it's like now you're just getting nothing from it. And I feel like that ultimately probably will be their downfall, even though I do, I don't know, some of the arguments about him and Butler coexisting at the same time seem to make some sense. But I mean, certainly if Butler's out, expect to see a lot of them on Saturday.
Dan, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just looking for the play-by-play. I can't remember the moment, but I was thinking tonight that Guy Santos looked like his head was in the clouds, and maybe it was in his hair, that big hair he has. I don't know. He looked like he was lost. The one play that Kuminga makes a great athletic play, saves the ball, throws it to Guy, and Guy acts like it's a hot potato, and he goes, throws it right to Sengun, or whoever he threw it to, and then he fouls the guy. And it was like the Warriors at that point, if I recall, it seemed like they were on a little run that were getting back into the game. And that was just like, it was a stupid play. Guy looked like his head was in the clouds tonight. Pods did not belong on the court after the first, once he missed his fifth shot, he had to just be removed and say, it's not your night. You don't feel good.
Exactly.
Just sit down. And, they were the difference tonight when they lost Butler and Pods was not able to go being healthy. They were totally outclassed athletically. They just they couldn't keep up with them. And they just looked like they were, I don't know. When Butler was out of the game, it reminded me before they had him. They looked like, and Curry was on the bench. It was like, oh my gosh, they can't do anything in the half court offense. Nothing.
I mean, Jimmy Butler can get inside. I mean, look at the numbers inside. I mean, the Warriors got just drilled in the paint. They were minus 14 on the glass, and they were minus 18 points in the paint.
Again,
Those are huge one-sided numbers right there.
They again, and just to be specific here, the Golden State Warriors 33 rebounds tonight, Houston 47.
They get beat on the defensive glass.
Yeah, exactly. The Warriors did better with the offensive rebounding. Houston had 22 in game 1. They got cut in half to 11 here in game 2, but still 47-33 edge for Houston. And Larry, as you mentioned, points in the paint, 46-28 advantage going to the Rockets. I want to get to these paid chats. There's a lot of them here. Folks are paying their hard-earned money to have their voice heard. Shogo, $5 saying that team, I'm guessing referring to the Rockets, are dirtier than the TLs. What is the TLs? Anyone know?
Timberwolves.
Tenderloin.
Oh.
I don't know.
Is that what that? I can't. Is that what that? Oh my God. Well, I don't know what the TLs are, but that okay. Yeah. Houston's dirty. Mark Graves, a member of, I'm guessing, the Krueger show for 33 months.
Wow.
There you go. Graves in the house.
Yes.
There you go.
Saying Stephen Curry's game is based on moving around the court, and the refs are letting the Rockets hold Steph all game because they don't want to chase him around. And that piggybacks off, Ryan, I believe your point, right? Weren't you saying that the refereeing, the officiating egregious in terms of the off-ball non-calls? Larry, do you agree with Ryan? Like, what are you seeing from the refs? Do you think it's egregious? I feel like every game it's egregious. Some games worse than others. Like where are you measuring?
The playoffs, so they want to give these guys a little bit more ability to be physical with one another in the flow of the game. But I mean, restricting, they used to have a whole era where they restricted player movement, and they decided it wasn't a good thing. So if you're going to go with this, thing, I don't think there should be that much of a difference between your regular season calls and your postseason calls. There's no question. I mean, Steph Curry is being clutched and grabbed pretty consistently, and a lot of it's going uncalled. So the Warriors are going to have to adjust, because it doesn't seem like this seems like the new world order, at least this round.
Exactly.
I did want to add, like, one major difference that I do not ever see during the regular season that I'm seeing in this Rocket series is the grabbing and the clutching of his hands. I'm not used to seeing it. Grabbing his hands, grabbing his wrists, and even like during drives, like I Van Vliet got him, grabbed it, then let go, and then grabbed his hand again, like right as he was.
And he's dealing with that thumb injury.
So they want to go after that thumb.
It is dirty.
They want to hit that thumb.
Yeah, it's not cool. And I'm old Greg, and we'll jump into it here, saying, and he's pointing me out because apparently I'm the Kuminga guy, and I'm old Greg is saying Kuminga is not that guy. So let's get into it. Jonathan Kuminga was DNP for 3 games before tonight. So expecting anything less than rust, to me, is grossly unfair. I had no idea what to even expect from this kid. I don't even know if you can have expectations for a player who is given this herky-jerky treatment. I will say this. His stat line tonight wasn't bad. Played 26 minutes, 4 seconds. Did miss a lot of close-range shots that should have gone in. And again, whether that's rust, whether that's Kuminga just, missing shots, who knows? But 4 of 12 from the field. He was 2 of 5 from 3. He was actually 2 of 3 from 3 before missing his last 2 attempts. 11 points, 2 rebounds. 3 rebounds, 2 assists for Jonathan Kuminga. Added 1 turnover and a block, again, in 26 minutes and 4 seconds. Here's my take on this, and obviously, we're all going to talk about this, but to judge him positive or negative, I think is grossly unfair. I don't understand how you can have an opinion on this guy when his role at this point is to be a bench player who only plays when someone gets hurt. So to judge him at this point is insane. I'm not going to have a strong opinion in either direction. I don't think he hurt the team tonight. Larry, what's your take, brother?
Well, I mean, does he have no say or impact in how his season or career has gone? I mean, I don't know if I would give him. I would alleviate all blame. I mean, come on, you play a certain way. I mean, you got to. We all have bosses. We all have to get along. We all have to show production. We all have to, fall in line. Clearly, it's not going well, right? Whatever. This guy was flourishing in December. My God, do you guys remember that? This guy was looking like this was the best basketball of his life.
Larry,
played this year in
place
December.
He was starting in place of Draymond.
He was
Remember,
really
they
good.
moved him into the starting lineup. They benched Draymond. They were.
If you had told me in December that we were going to get to April and the Warriors were going to throw him off the side of the boat, I would have said they're cooked. And I'll say it right now, they're cooked.
Yeah.
I don't care if people say I'm negative. I'm a realist. I don't care. I'm a Warrior fan my entire life. I'll always be I'm Monte Ellis. I'm a Warriors, and I'm always going to be a Warriors. All right. So that's it. But I'm also not delusional. And I know enough about athletes to know that they were only going to get as far as their youth. Moody and Kuminga, they're 2 young lottery picks who are now in their 4th year. We're going to take them. Not as far as they'd have to be better than Steph, but they were going to have to be huge key cogs in this thing. And Moody is, but Kuminga's not. And unfortunately, you needed them both. So I think they're going to go down in this series. I don't blame Kuminga for how he played tonight. When was the last time he played? April the 11th or something like that? It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Frank, just I want to get to all these paids. Carson Taylor throws in that Kerr's thought process is Kuminga plays tonight. We lost. It's all his fault. Pat Spencer looked great tonight. Went 5 of 7. Too bad. I like spacing. Frank, what are your thoughts on all this, man?
I was very proud of Jonathan Kuminga. You know what I'm saying? Because he's young mentally. He didn't play in college, and in year 4, to me, for him not to even get in the game because of an analytical stat, to me, that's just not right. Now,
what analytical stat, Frank? What are you referring to?
Well, he doesn't play well with said player. The stat said he doesn't play well with Jimmy Butler. He doesn't play with that player. Doesn't play well with that with player X and player Y. I don't agree with that at all. I'm saying, what's wrong in practice? What do we need to do to fix it? Because he's one of the best players on the team. Even tonight, those shots that he missed, that was just rust.
Yeah.
That was bad timing. But he got to the spot that he wanted to get to. I'm more convinced more than ever, that this guy's going to average 20 points in the NBA.
Easily.
He is. And the narrative among fans that don't understand the nuances is this guy sucks. And he can't play for the Warriors. That is bullshit. This is Steve Kerr making a decision to play the guys that he wants to play. I know there's been a lot of positive comments about Post. You know what? Quentin Post has to be literally one of the, I'm not going to call him number 1. He's one of the worst defensive players in the NBA.
He's bad. Yeah.
No, he's terrible. And guess what? They're going to need defensive presence. They're going to need athleticism. So I want to see Kuminga get an opportunity. I was very proud of him. He did not dog it at all. Guy Santos had 4 fouls in the first half. And 4 fouls in the first half. And many of those plays are just not good. So hopefully Jimmy Butler comes back. He starts. They play their game. But this idea that Jonathan Kuminga can't play, I'm not on board with that. I think he can play. He plays really well when people are rallying around him. And if it doesn't happen in Golden State, it's going to happen somewhere else. This guy's going to be a very successful player in the league.
Yeah, Carson Taylor dropping another $4.99 saying, what do you expect from Kuminga considering he hasn't played in nearly 2 weeks? Ryan, what are your thoughts on this? It's a fiasco, dude. This is just, it's insane that we're at this point and we're having this conversation. To me, Ryan, what do you think?
I don't know. I guess the counterpoint would be, well, Pat Spencer his ass has been on the bench forever, and he came in the game and played super well and was super confident. I don't know. Kuminga, I've gone back and forth so many times as to whether or not I'm a Kuminga guy. I got to say, the kind of like underbelly of the like smart fans out there that are all like now hate Kuminga has now made me more of a Kuminga guy, even though I'm not much of a Kuminga guy. So I don't really know. I don't know if that made sense.
So you
but,
don't like smart fans?
Yeah,
No,
I don't
no,
like
no,
like the self-appointed smart fans. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like everybody, it's like, oh, and then like in blind. But I will say, I tend to side with Kerr on most things. I wouldn't be surprised if there's stuff going on behind the scenes, to be honest.
What kind of stuff do you
also,
think is like what kind of stuff?
I don't think Steph is necessarily like the loudest voice in the room all the time, but I kind of think that I kind of think that Steph is a part of this decision. I think it's not just Kerr.
Why do you
That's
assume
my
that?
opinion.
Why do you assume that though?
I can't hear you for some reason.
Oh, I asked why do you assume that when just 3 weeks ago Steph was publicly unsolicited, I might add. Like it wasn't like he was asked to defend Kuminga. He went out of his way and said Kuminga has to be. Oh, we lost him, but he said that Kuminga has to be.
He ran. He wanted no. He didn't want any of that smoke.
Dan, what do you think, brother?
He didn't want any of that smoke.
Because Steph
He
literally
couldn't handle it. He couldn't
came
hang
out-
in here. He couldn't hang in here. This isn't Del Boca Vista where Danny's living, 55 and over. There's some stuff going down in here. He couldn't hang.
Dan,
See
what are
you,
your thoughts
Rye.
on this,
Beat
man?
it. No, I'm just joking.
I think Charles Haley's been. I think Kuminga's been hanging out with Charles Haley, and something happened in the parking lot with Kerr's car. And Kuminga. No, I'm
Five-time champion Charles Haley, by the way.
You know what? It's one of those things. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's all their fault because you had a trade deadline. You had plenty of time to figure this out, and to sit there and to know for going into the playoffs that you were going to go away from just a guy who's a tremendous asset, and just because you haven't figured it out how to work him in, and it's like coach him. That's what coaching is.
Yes.
Bring him along. I mean,
Yeah.
figure it out.
I'll tell you-
trade him, but don't waste your. I mean, when you waste your assets, like the Warriors have wasted James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga, I would like the Warriors to have a press conference tomorrow and announce who's fucking fired for that.
Yes.
Those are two blown assets. The two greatest personnel assets you have had were totally blown because you have two guys that are giving you zero. Somebody is responsible for that. That person should be fired.
Where is the accountability? That has been my biggest peeve in all of this, that Steve Kerr continues to avoid any accountability for botching the development of 3, 4, 5 first-round picks, whatever it is, including 3 lottery picks. The Moses Moody one might be salvaged, to be determined. But again, I agree with you. For example, someone in the chat here wrote, like a good morning cup of Java writes that I have a man crush on Kuminga. Far from it. I have no idea what this kid could be. I think he's going to be something special based on my observations. But in reality, I have no clue. My entire gripe is we've never seen this kid play a legitimate amount of minutes. None of us can properly, at this moment in year 4 that is concluded, give a proper analysis and evaluation of this kid because we have no decent sample size. And that's a coaching problem. Frank, just to give you an idea here of why this stuff drives me crazy, because you brought up analytics as being maybe the reason why Kuminga is not playing and why Steve Kerr thinks he's not a good quote-unquote fit with Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler, right? Those are the 3 players that in Steve Kerr's mind, they just can't play together. And the analytic that I'm guessing you've heard that has been mentioned, Steve Kerr has never publicly mentioned this, but I know some trolls out there. Some trolls a poor choice of word, but schmucks. Some schmucks out there have brought up the fact that those
much better,
right? They played 38 minutes together, right? That's not that, which is a measly sample size, 38 minutes. That's not even a full basketball game. A full basketball game is 48 minutes, and in those 38 minutes they played together, their net rating is minus 26. All right, so I decided to look a little more into that. Okay, so 38 minutes, those 3 have played together. They're a minus 36. But the question is, who are the other 2 players on the floor with them, right? Well, when you bring Stephen Curry into the mix as the 4th player, he's played 23 of those 38 minutes with them. And that net rating number goes from minus 26 to minus 11. So it goes down when Steph plays with them. And again, this has only been 23 minutes. when Brandon Pajemski's the fifth player with those guys. So let's say you have those three on the court together, and then you have Steph, and then you have Brandon Pajemski, which I think a lot of people would think is the best five players on this team. They've only played 13 minutes on the court together. That's it. Just 13 minutes, and they're still a +2. They still play winning basketball. So if he's relying on analytics for this, I don't get it, because the sample size is small. And if you're looking at analytics, there's another threesome. This threesome is Jimmy Butler, Buddy Hield, and Moses Moody. That threesome have played 45 minutes together. They're a -30, which is even worse. But Steve Kerr has no problems with that threesome. So there's just no logic. There's no rhyme. There's no reason to this, is what I'm trying to say. And my entire gripe, again, because a lot of people are too dense to get this apparently, it's not that I love Jonathan Kuminga. It's that I'm not happy with the way Steve Kerr has managed Jonathan Kuminga. And I think if you're a good coach, when a player is done playing under you, they leave a better individual. They leave someone who's grown as an individual. They leave as someone who's actually learned something and improved. And I'm not seeing that from the young players who play under Steve Kerr. So that's my gripe. Who wants to go first? I'm done.
I'm going to say that's well articulated. That was a great point you just made.
Thank you,
My only thing is like this. You know what? The Warriors have been out-rebounded damn near about 20 per game. And then one of the best players in the history of basketball kind of bails out the Warriors and in essence validates the coach's game plan. And that's okay. Steve Kerr is a great coach. But my eyes tell me that Jonathan Kuminga probably would get some of those rebounds. And I look at it tonight when he had to run out, when the Warriors going to play pace, he's one of the few guys who can actually finish on the break. Tonight, he was looking to pass the ball. His numbers, the analytical numbers, would be a lot better if he has a mindset, I'm going to pass the ball and just make basketball plays. That's coaching, man. This guy's going to go somewhere next year.
The whole thing's totally inexcusable. It's totally inexcusable. This guy would be incredibly valuable if all he ever tried to do was jam everything. If all he ever did was just get the ball, and he couldn't pass it to anybody, couldn't dribble, couldn't do anything, and he just absolutely tried to sky and jam, eventually guys would foul him. He'd go to the line. He'd be useful. That they don't have finishers. They don't have guys who can drive. They don't have guys that can get into the lane. This guy can. And to banish him to Siberia on the bench for 2 weeks in the middle of the most important part of the year, it's just another. I'll just say this. I guarantee this guy's going to play better ball when he gets out of here than he ever did here. I guarantee it. And then who's going to be right then, right? Who's going to be right then? All these, because there's so many people that are so deep in their Warrior, fandom that they've they've tried to make sense of like Jonathan Kuminga. Like it's better that Jonathan Kuminga is like they're sitting him out. No, it's not better. It's not better.
No, I'll say this about two things about Kuminga. One, it wouldn't shock me if Jimmy doesn't go in game 3. Wouldn't shock me to see Kerr start Kuminga just to give him a shot at getting him going right away. And so
he should
look for that. If Jimmy doesn't play, I'm thinking that might happen. Number 2, this whole thing with Kuminga, I think it really comes down to he just doesn't fit the style of the Warriors. Let me just put it this way. And Ryan was touching a little bit on this a little bit. I think if Steph wanted him on the court, he'd be on the court.
I mean,
that's how I feel.
Again, that's I don't know. Because here's the thing. Draymond Green loves Kuminga. And I don't know if he'd just be okay with look,
none of those guys are going to say anything negative publicly, though.
Frank, you played D1 basketball, right?
Yeah.
In your experience, did you or any of your teammates ever approach your coach and stand up for bench players or have discussions about certain players needing more minutes or complain to your head coach if certain players got DNP? Like, did that ever happen to you?
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly. Like that doesn't happen.
I mean,
That
this
doesn't
is
happen in
NBA, but this is NBA basketball in 2025. You know what I mean? Frank played major college basketball, but that takes a lot of clout, right? I mean, the players are usually on the outside looking in when it comes to that stuff. And even in the NBA, I would say most players are probably not in the decision-making process. Steph, I think it's very plausible to believe that he is very much involved. So I hear what you guys are saying. Part of me says, okay, I get it. We'll defer to Steph. But once again, Steph's a basketball player.
Exactly.
And I don't know, man. I come from the school where let the players play, let the coaches coach, let the scouts scout, let everybody do their thing. Just do your job. And I that would bother me if they really said sit Kuminga out. I would need to hear an explanation of why they think they can win a championship without the only really dominant physical player in their prime that they have.
I'm saying it a little different. I'm saying that if Steph says, we need Kuminga you got to play him, he'd be playing. So maybe. I don't know if I fully believe that. I fully believe that. If Steph went to Kerr privately, says we got to get Kuminga in the lineup somehow, some way.
But I think what Larry's saying, and I agree, and Frank as well, is Steph is, to me, just based on my observations, he's a very much a stay in your lane kind of guy, meaning he respects people's roles. He's not a habitual line stepper, if that makes sense. I'm going to read you guys this quote, and let me know if you think this makes sense in terms of why Steve Kerr is benching Kuminga. I'll read this quote to you, and let me know what you think. Quote, "It's not about anything Kuminga is doing or not doing. It's just about combinations and the way that group has played together, the way Jimmy Butler has filled in since we got him. It's just a math problem more than anything," unquote. Larry, I'll start with you.
I mean, that's Steve's perception of how he got to his playoff lineup before the injury. Is that what you're saying? That was
that's his explanation for the DNPs.
Yeah. I guess if he wants to, justify it, I mean, he can justify it. I mean, he's the coach. I mean, to me, it's not even about what's the right decision. It's that if you were even considering doing this, you should have moved this guy months ago. God, Larry, it's like you're wrong and you're wrong. Okay. So you're wrong for sitting him and you're wrong if you play. I mean, it's like you've decided you're wrong if you play him and you're wrong if you sit him because you could have traded him. And this is the kind of guy. And I heard JD say it on Saturday, and I totally agree with him. If the Warriors are going to get a player next year that helps them win a title, it's going to be because they moved Jonathan Kuminga to get that player. So it's like, obviously, but I mean, what are you waiting for? I mean, you got 2 years of Jimmy Butler. You had 2 bites at the apple, and you're going to take one of them away because you're going to keep a player as valuable as Kuminga without moving him. It's like, this takes a while. I guess it takes a while. They brought Jimmy Butler, and they weren't sure if it was going to work, I guess. Now they got Kuminga. Maybe there's some redundancy. Maybe there's some uncomfortable. But, I mean, come on, man. This guy, it's positionless basketball. I don't want to hear in this era of positionless basketball that this guy doesn't fit.
Yeah.
I'll just counter it with this, is that at the trade deadline, Kuminga was hurt, and he was playing his best basketball of his career before he got hurt. And then they got Butler, and the offense kind of changed. It kind of revolves more around Jimmy. It's almost like their half court. It's kind of an ISO type of offense at times where Jimmy has got the ball and he's holding it and waiting for somebody to come open. Guys are still moving and cutting, but if you notice, the Warriors basketball before Butler came, and when they were in their heyday, it was always moving, backdoor cuts to the basket.
Then throw Jonathan Kuminga the lob. I mean, you threw Bam Adebayo the lob.
Right. But the problem is they started winning with Jimmy. They went like 18-2. And
Dan, the reason why you said that, I'm glad you brought that up because Steve Kerr, on two separate occasions now, has brought up this fictional stat that they're like 17-3 or something like that. It's when they acquired Jimmy Butler. The real record, because I heard that twice, and I'm like,
I did hear that.
Like, okay, let me actually dig to see what the justification is here. They were not 17-3 or 18-3. They were still good. They were 12-2 when they traded for Jimmy Butler before Jonathan Kuminga got healthy. But the stretch of games that they were 12-2 in, all right, Chicago, Dallas after Luka's long gone, Sacramento, Charlotte twice, Orlando, that's kind of tough, Philadelphia, and they actually lost that game, by the way.
Yeah.
Brooklyn, Detroit, Portland. Like this was, and Steve Kerr did this last year too, as justification for not trading Andrew Wiggins. Last year, Steve Kerr went off on his pulpit and was like, we went 4-1 right before the trade deadline. We should not trade Andrew Wiggins. So they listened to him and they did not. And if you look back, that 4-1 stretch was against the most ridiculously easy teams ever. And when Jonathan Kuminga did come back, right? So the Warriors were 12-2 at this point. Again, they beat over a 14-game stretch that played 5 playoff teams. They went 12-2. All right. It was impressive. But Steve Kerr acts like when Kuminga came back, they just suddenly went to shit. No, they were 11-5, right? 16 games he played when Kuminga came back. They went 11-5. In that 16-game stretch, half the teams were playoff teams. It's just, I heard that rationale. I just wanted to add, like, it makes no damn sense because the record was slightly worse with Kuminga, but the opponent's win percentage was so much better. You had 3 more playoff teams you played against. It was almost identical, dude. I just had to throw that in there. Sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
No worries. But I do think he gets probably dealt in a sign and trade in the offseason, and they'll probably, get a player that fits their system. They think fits better. And I think Kuminga will thrive somewhere else.
My thing is being a player and having to deal with the mental aspect of it, because fans really don't understand that because they really never experienced that. But this mental warfare that this young man has had to deal with, like I said tonight, he came out tonight and put forth a professional effort. And that's a feather in his cap because he didn't know he was going to play. If Jimmy Butler doesn't get hurt, maybe he doesn't even play tonight. Kerr is like a military general in terms of how he thinks, and he just expects you to fall in line. But these are not robots; these are real people. All right, we can go back to the beginning of the year. This guy probably lost $30 to $35 million. Try to negotiate a long-term contract when you're trying to get market value when you have 3-4 DMPs. Good luck with that. All right. So my whole thing is this. Don't kill this guy's confidence. All right.
Yes.
The only thing that you have to demand from your players is effort. I don't see lack of effort from Kuminga. I see plays that he should not make, but nobody makes more mistakes than Buddy Hield. Nobody. Kerr coaches players differently.
Yeah.
And as a player, that's tough to take, especially from a guy like Kuminga who didn't even grow up in this country.
And Frank, Kuminga was 17 in his rookie season.
I want him gone.
And people want to treat him like he's like this adult who should get like equal blame or equal. Like, dude, he's a kid who just needed some guidance and coaching, and Steve Kerr's provided none of that. I'm old Greg in the chat's asking, wasn't Kuminga starting all year before we got Jimmy? What was our record? I should look that up too. The Warriors were 18-16 when Kuminga got hurt, I believe, on January 4th. And that includes that incredibly difficult stretch in December when they had like a 10-game swing with Denver. It was they
crazy. Were headed towards a 40-win season. They got Butler and they won whatever they won. What did they finish with?
They were 18-16.
48.
The 49 games. They won 49, right?
Yeah, so they won 49. They were going to win. They won 48. Okay. They were. What do you think Jimmy gave them? 10 wins, right?
8 to 10.
Okay. What did I say they were going to win at the beginning of the year? 38. They got Jimmy. They won 40.
Nailed it. No, you're good. You're good there. You're good there. I think you're good there. All right, so let me bring this up to you guys. All right, first of all, Amar Jal, we all know you're Amar Singh, and we know you're a Kerr fanboy, so chill out. And I never said Moody and Kuminga were going to be the next Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I said after the 2022 championship, I could maybe see these guys turning into that. And this leads to this next.
Was the tweet erased, or
It wasn't even a tweet? It was just literally on a show like 3 years
there's
ago.
an investigation going on right now?
But here's the thing. You know
we
that
should have
quote
it all wrapped up before the stream is over.
No, but you know that quote I just read to you, the Steve Kerr quote about why Kuminga's getting the DNPs?
Yeah.
That wasn't actually a Kuminga quote. I'm going to read you the quote again. All right.
Okay.
Steve Kerr, quote, "It's not about anything Jason is doing or not doing. It's just about combinations and the way that group has played together, the way Kevin Durant has filled in since he came back from his injury. It's just a math problem more than anything," unquote. Steve Kerr last summer talking about Jason Tatum. Do you see the similarities there? Are there
I do.
similarities?
It sounds very similar.
It's crazy.
Very similar to
It's
what
the
he said
same
recently
shit.
here.
It's the same shit. The good, like what I, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Who?
Oh, I was just gonna say, if there's anything I took from that quote, it's I don't think the Kuminga treatment's a personal thing. I just think Kerr's a very stubborn, kind of old school head coach who just is going to do things his way, and that's that. And take that for what it's worth. Larry, what do you think?
It's gonna be really interesting because it seems like Joe Lacob really loves Jonathan Kuminga, and yet he really loves Steve Kerr. So, and yet Steve Kerr doesn't. It's a love triangle that doesn't have that third love. You know what I mean? Joe loves Kuminga. He loves Kerr, but Kerr doesn't love Kuminga, and we got problems. So
hey,
yeah.
it's another threesome.
Somebody in the chat. Great. Somebody in the chat said Cam Johnson in a sign and trade. That's fine, I guess, but you get a whole lot less athletic. That's for sure.
Well, and you don't have you lose durability. I don't even know if Cam Johnson would play because he's not a ball handler. Like if you can't dribble,
he can shoot the ball though, man. You're talking about a 6'8" guy who has been one of the smoothest 3-point shooters since he was at North Carolina. I think Cam Johnson would be beautiful in this offense. I mean, I think it could be really fun to watch.
Agreed.
But I don't want to. I was hoping that they could get Cam Johnson for something less than Jonathan Kuminga. I was hoping that Jonathan Kuminga could elevate his value to something that you could get more than Cam Johnson, because Cam Johnson's older, not as athletic. So, but I mean, I guess that's a decent save to get out of Kuminga, but it's hardly like, oh yeah, that would be amazing. It would just be like passable.
And I love how deloading in the chat saying Cam Johnson would play. Come on. Have you seen this coach? How can you possibly say with conviction that anyone would ever play? I hear fans go back and say, I wish the team drafted Franz Wagner instead of Kuminga. And my response is always, how do you know he would play? How do you know he would develop? Like, this coach is so unpredictable. You have no idea who fits and doesn't fit by his weird subjective standards. It's the coach, man. That's always been my problem. Some paid chats here. Tommy, $5. And I think this transitions to a good topic, which is game 3. As long as Jimmy Butler is mostly healthy Saturday, the Warriors should win. Jalen Green had a career game, and he won't be repeating that 3 more times. And that's a good point, because Jalen Green in tonight's game, leading scorer for the Rockets this season, 13 of 25 from the field, 8 of 18 from 3. Yes, he made 8 3-point buckets, 38 points in this game total. Game 3, Larry, I will start with you, sir. What do you expect? Do you think we're going to see Jimmy Butler? Will we see a comeback win for the Warriors? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Tommy here that as long as Jimmy is mostly healthy, Golden State's got a great chance to take the 2-1 lead. I think this is going to be a really, really good series. I like Houston in 7, as I said. Somewhere along the line, Houston's going to take one. But to me, it seems like Golden State is really good off a loss. I think they rebound well in game 3. I think they maybe rebound so well that they're feeling pretty confident in game 4, and maybe that's where they suffer the loss. But I think they get the winning. I think Golden State gets the win in game 3, providing that Butler plays a full boat of minutes and that he's okay.
Frank,
Dominoes and coffee will help his back.
Say again, what?
That's what he'll say. Dominoes and coffee will help his back heal. That's
Did he
what
say
he
that?
said the other night when he got in the thigh against the Clippers. Mm-hmm. He said, "Just I'll go home, play some dominoes, and have some coffee, I'll be fine.
No, I think he said order some Dominoes. No. Maybe. No.
Yeah, play domino. He likes to play
He
dominoes.
loves his bones, dude. He loves bones, man. It's a fun game, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Dominoes is super fun. It's dude's obsessed with it. Frank, what do you think about Game 3 Saturday?
Yeah, man. Listen, that crowd's gonna be rocking. This is a very important game. I actually, as stubborn and as fixated as Kerr can be, I think he learned something with Kuminga tonight. So, I don't think he's going to get a DNP on Saturday. I think Jimmy Butler's going to play. This game is about intensity and rebounding. I think the Warriors will be more physical, and I think they'll shoot better. I can't see Jalen Green scoring 38 points on Saturday. So, Houston's going to be tough, but I just think the Warriors are a better team, especially at home. So, I think they're going to win.
Dan, let me ask you this, dude. The Game 3 Saturday at Chase Center, is it a must-win for the Warriors? Like, if the Warriors lose, are they effed?
I wouldn't go that far, because if they walk out of there 2-2, it's really, you're just holding, it's back to a series of everybody holding home court. So I think it's going 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
I originally picked the Warriors in 6, so I'll stick with that. I think if the Warriors can, the one thing I will say is the Warrior veterans are going to be ready. Draymond Green is pissed off.
Yeah, he is.
And
he is.
He's going, if he can control that energy and play within himself and not go nuts, I think he'll play an outstanding game. He'll get a lot of rebounds. He'll get block shots. He'll get steals, and he'll be kind of the catalyst. And I think the crowd will get into it. I think they win. And in a series, it's always one game at a time. You can't say they're going to win both. You got to see how each game goes. Like Larry said, he had the Rockets tonight based on different factors. I think the Warriors win Game 3 because they've been through it so many times. This is going to be new to Houston. Game 1 was new to these guys for Houston. It's going to be new that it's a road game. So I think Game 5 could be a pivotal game in the series, whatever. That's usually when you get your best game, your best played game referee-wise. Everything seems, we'll see. I don't know. I like the Warriors in Game 3. Even if Jimmy doesn't play, I feel like the Warriors find a way. And if
Jimmy doesn't play, they're going down in Game 3.
I don't think so. I think Kuminga will rise. I'm
glad you guys brought that up, because I was going to throw to Ryan and ask him, as R. Jonesy drops $1.99, saying, let the Kuminga wars begin. If Jimmy Butler is out for Game 3, what happens, Ryan?
I think if Butler's out, they lose. I still think they win the series as long as he comes back healthy in Game 4, though. I think if Butler, he's too important to the team.
He's so good. What a winning trade. Side note.
God,
Dunleavy Jr., bravo. Like that just but Larry, I love that you bring up these points about the accountability, because on one hand, right, they make this trade. You get Jimmy Butler, you give up practically nothing, right? I think that the most prized piece you gave up was the first round pick in next year's draft, which would have been the 20th pick. Side note, the Warriors do have a second round pick in next year's draft. My information.
It's funny because the people who love wigs or were like, oh, you can't move wigs. I'm like, come on. You serious?
Same again, this is why I don't listen to that rhetoric, dude. There were way too many people saying that. I think, Ryan, you were one of them, right? Sorry, I don't mean to call you out. But.
Yeah, I love Wiggins. I mean, if they could have somehow figured out a way to give up Kuminga and make the contracts work, I think we're talking championship.
That's fair. But they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't. But Larry, what do you think Saturday, man? Like, if Kuminga's the guy and Jimmy Butler's out, man, does that change anything significantly?
Yes. I mean, come on. Does it change anything? I mean, Jimmy Butler's one of the best players in the league. He's a veteran. They're totally different. Yeah, I mean, of course, yes. I mean, you asked me about the point spread because Alex here in the chat is like, so yes. Larry, what's the early spread on Saturday? I'm sure you know it by now. No, I really don't. Alex is bent because I made cash tonight. It's okay, Alex. I'm a Warrior fan. I bet against them. Yes, I prioritized my money tonight. I thought Houston was going to win. It's all right. It's going to be okay. I'll bet on the Warriors another night. But as far as I'm a trader, but
no, you're
either
not.
way,
I call that Larry. I call those emotional hedge bets.
Yeah.
Weird name. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's one of those things where if you lost tonight, your team won, so the sting is minimized, right?
well, first of all, if you like to wager on the NBA, and I don't really, right, in the regular season, but in the playoffs, I really believe that if you can get into a rhythm where you kind of see a series, you could wind up betting the series successfully and betting a different team, throughout, because you just get the vibe for, okay. I mean, I was listening to a lot of KMBR talk in the last 24 hours with a lot of mentions of sweep. And every time I heard that, I laughed. And I'm like, this is not, the 2 seed is not going to get swept by the 7 seed. I don't care if there's Steph Curry's here or not. I mean, that was preposterous talk. You knew Houston was coming back. They're a good defensive team. They're well coached. They got lots of young talent, and they did. So, now
line's out. The line's out.
3.5. 3.5. Warriors are favored by 3.5.
That's not what I see. I have the line courtesy of Bet Online. I'm not saying you're wrong, Dan. I just I'm going with Bet Online.
Danny's
Right.
got an
You're saying
internal Arizona.
I'm looking at
handle.
FanDuel. I'm just looking at FanDuel.
And they have 3.5. Right?
FanDuel does. FanDuel has 3.5.
Bet Online has 2.5. Warriors favored. Larry, what are you betting on?
Who's playing?
Warriors and Rockets Saturday, Game 3.
Yeah, I mean, is Jimmy playing? If Jimmy's playing, I'll take.
I see. Well,
If Jimmy, I just said it. I mean, if Jimmy's playing, I think they get this win. Warriors bounce back. I like the Golden State off a loss to bounce back. They do bounce back really well off a loss. If Jimmy's not playing, I'll take Houston, and I think Houston, and I picked Houston to win the series, and so I think if Jimmy doesn't play, give me Houston in Game 3 on the money line.
Frank, what do you think?
I mean, I think the Warriors lost tonight because of a lack of intensity. And when the game was in the balance, they took 2 bad shots, and Houston got on top of them. So I think they're going to watch the film. Curry's going to emphasize ball movement and getting better shots. I saw Draymond give Quentin Post a couple of looks tonight on the court because he wasn't being physical. I just expect this team to come out and play a more physical brand of basketball. I don't think D. Santos will get 4 fouls in the first half. He's going to play with more energy. So, I mean, collectively, I think they're going to play better basketball. Even Buddy Hill, as long as he's not trying to. And listen, Jimmy Butler said one of the most honest things I've ever heard from a professional athlete.
Yeah.
He's doing a press conference, and he's critiquing Buddy Hill's game, saying exactly what I'm saying. He goes,
Really? I didn't hear that. Is that
yes.
tonight?
He goes, I hate that when Buddy is dribbling the ball basically into nowhere.
You pissed people. Some people got annoyed by that. I loved it. Some people were like,
I was like, yo, this guy's being honest. He knows basketball.
Me too.
So, as long as they play smart basketball, they're going to win. Bottom line. And Steph has to stop dribbling into crowds. I mean, contact or not, there were a couple of things that he did tonight that's very unstep-like, and I would strike that up to him maybe being a little tired. He's playing a lot of minutes now. But they got to play smart basketball to win this game. They do, they'll win.
The guy, crashing Steph or whatever you want to call it, is had more. There's been more effectiveness of it being done in these playoffs than I ever remember before. He seems at times like you can overwhelm him.
I think it's because of the thumb.
You might be right.
I think the thumb's partially affecting almost more than his shooting. I feel like it's affecting his ball handling and his passing.
It is his ball handling.
But also you think about it, and it's like the Rockets. If Jimmy Butler's not out there, like the Rockets, literally all they have to do is focus on Steph. Like that is all they have to do. Send everybody at Steph. They don't care if any of these guys are shooting. I mean, the amount of when the Warriors started to make that run, the amount of open threes they were getting, whether it was Draymond or Quentin Post, Moody, like all these guys were just getting wide open threes. They just don't care, which is another reason why they absolutely need Jimmy.
Dan, at the very beginning of the show, you brought up Ime Udoka being caught on the mics,
that's
about
what somebody had said on my post-game show. We were talking Giants and got a little Warrior talk. Somebody had put that in the chat, so I was quoting them. So
Well, I'm just
maybe-
it doesn't matter. I just wanted to clarify it, or at least maybe clarify it. Johnson in the chat saying that Udoka was telling his offense that the refs aren't calling fouls, and the quote was, "Don't worry, they're not going to call anything. Play through it." So who knows? I didn't hear the quote at all.
Yeah.
But Johnson in the chat just wanted to add a clarification. Bill M dropping a lot of paid chats tonight. I apologize if we're getting to these late. $5 saying Steve Kerr only plays Pat Spencer 12 minutes. He had 11 points. What is wrong with this guy? But he plays Buddy Hield 16 minutes. I'll say this about the Buddy Hield minutes, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
Bill
about
is
it.
Bill related to Spencer? I mean, why do
Good
you
question.
care?
I don't know. But Buddy, the rationale for the Buddy Hield minutes, according to Steve Kerr, is that he provides spacing, right? Even though he's a relatively inconsistent 3-point shooter, he's streaky. He's not very trustworthy. He still attracts gravity defensively, right? If he's out there, he provides the precious spacing that Steve Kerr values tremendously. But I don't understand the Buddy Hield minutes when Steph's off the court. Like, that's when it doesn't make sense to me, because at that point, I just don't get it in general.
It's exciting because they have so few guys that can score on this team. Yeah. They're looking for any offense anywhere they can find it. Really, that's what I see. Buddy Hield is just the potential for offense. That's all he is.
Yeah, and that's it. Was it 5 points tonight? What do you have tonight? 5 points tonight. Yeah, his biggest contribution was 4 rebounds. I don't get it either. I'm old Greg 999 saying Steve Kerr, intelligent, wise, been in the league for 40 years, probably more than that. Ins and outs of basketball, butt ton of championships. Bench Kaminga. What's Cyrus? Handsome, thank you. Oh, I'm scared to read this. Nice beard, thank you. Talks about sports. I'll trust Steve. Okay, that's fair. I was expecting a lot worse than that.
He's siding with Kerr. Wait a second. You're siding with Kerr over Satsis?
How dare you?
He does a show. He's in the North Bay. What?
I will say this. If I coached the 2017 Warriors, you would be calling me a championship head coach. That's all I'm going to say.
He used to know people at Locked On.
I still know Rick Barry. He's coming on my show tomorrow.
He knows Rick Barry. You're gonna go with this. You're gonna go with this Kerr fella. All right, go ahead.
I'll take Rick Barry over Kerr, but that's just me. Zarok each one saying Trace Jackson Davis was one of my favorite players on the team. Kerr abandoned him all year. Why? They needed his size and youth and get Buddy Hield off the floor. Frank, what are your thoughts on that? Your scouting is impressive, sir. Larry, you as well. You two both. What's your scouting report on Trace Jackson Davis at this point in the season? Like, he's getting DNPs. Could they use him? Your thoughts?
I think they can use him. I'm very proud of him. I think he's handled his benching like a professional. Like, I watched the nuances and the real minute particulars. Every time the Kerrs put him in the game, he's went out and he's played hard. He's hustled, and I think he's getting a lot of respect internally within that organization, because you can build a strong thesis why he should be playing. But because the Warriors have been winning, Quentin Post has played well in his role at times. And listen, as a head coach, you decide who plays. I get it. I respect her. But Trace Jackson Davis, I think, has really enhanced his reputation around the NBA as a professional and as somebody who's going to be a solid NBA player. You can't play everybody. So, I take a step back and let Kerr coach the team, but I think Trace Jackson Davis can help him based on how he's playing now. I would love to see him get a shot when it actually matters. I think he might probably perform. He's the
last time we saw Trace Jackson Davis was that San Antonio Spurs game where the Warriors won by 42 points. He was filling in for Quentin Post, who was out with an illness, and then we just haven't seen him since. Anyone else have an opinion on?
Yeah,
Trace
this
Jackson
guy
Davis?
played 4 years in the Big Ten. He knows how to play. They could have utilized him. Kerr's in love with Kevon Looney, and Looney is, a shadow of what he used to be. He's not the same guy. He's still got good basketball smarts and everything, but he's limited. Trace, you're looking at Golden State and they look so much older and less athletic than some of these teams. And you're sitting there going, well, you're playing Kevon Looney, but you do have Trace Jackson Davis, who probably could rebound outside of his area and probably give you a little bit of something. But, he's going with the low end veteran that he knows over the potential of whatever TJD can provide. And TJD is just going to have to wait his turn. I wouldn't even say anything. If I was Trace Jackson Davis's agent, I wouldn't be like, hey, you know what? You need to do this. You need to do that. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
This is a Kerr Looney thing. He likes you. He loves him. And that's the bottom line. He loves Looney. They've been in parades together. He's going to play Looney. Looney played 13 minutes tonight. As soon as this game was pretty much done, which is when Jimmy went out, in my opinion, they probably should have gotten some minutes for all the young guys and say, because this is a long run. This is not a sprint. So if I was Kerr, I may have tanked this game earlier, but whatever. I would have used Trace Jackson Davis. He played him, but he played him for 4 minutes. I think I would have played him for 10 minutes at least.
Moses Moody was once compared by Steve Kerr to was it Trace Jackson Davis in terms of, no, it was Kevon Looney. I'm sorry. In terms of being a stay ready type player who's always there when you need him, regardless of the role. How did Moses Moody feel about that again?
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah, it does. So elsewhere in the chat, Chardal is going to the game on Saturday, game 3. Good for you. I'm old Greg, another $1.99. Oh man, he's calling me out saying I'm Grant Cohen wearing a costume. Larry, you work with Grant regularly. Is that a huge dig? Is that just a minor punch in the gut? How should I take that?
You're talking about the biggest guy on YouTube, so you might as well just take that as a compliment. Thank you. You know what, Greg? Thanks for the deuce. That's what I would say.
Greg, thank you for the deuce. Absolutely. Ryan23000 saying there's a new angle and Eamon didn't get pushed. Oh, going back to the Jimmy Butler fall. Okay, so Draymond Green did not, in fact, shove Eamon Thompson, forcing him.
Eamon Thompson went flying. So either he dove into Butler and he was trying to take him out in midair, and then she should be suspended for the next game, or he got pushed. So if he didn't get pushed, then,
what do you guys think
he
on
went
that?
flying into Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler was in midair, defenseless. And if that's the case, they should be suspended and not be allowed to play in the next game. I mean, how's that not some super flagrant foul? The guy could have been paralyzed.
Yeah, if Draymond did that, oh boy.
I thought Draymond actually pushed the guy a little bit. So you're telling me there's a new angle and Draymond didn't push him? If he didn't push him, he went into Jimmy Butler's pretty hard. Jimmy Butler's a 225-pound man. He went flying. His legs went flying in the air. So I don't know, man. If he really didn't get pushed, then they need to probably take Thompson off the floor.
He didn't get pushed, but I think he's also the single most athletic guy in the league. And, you're taught to follow your shot. I think he's just being a spaz. Like he's just being there's these just young, hyper athletic raw dudes that are just spazzes. And he got kind of caught up in between, like Draymond's foot was down on one side. Steven Adams, who's an absolute brick wall that can't be moved, on the other side. And he just it was just unfortunate. It was spastic. Which is something you got to deal with the Rockets. That always makes me nervous. Like every time Steph's going in for a layup, I'm like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Right, that's a great explanation.
Such a hard fall, dude. It could have been worse.
That was the worst fall I've seen in a long time, because when Steph did it, he wasn't airborne like that. He was, Jimmy had to be 4 feet or higher, because his shoulders, he landed on.
He got up there. Yeah, he was up there for sure.
And Amen he's 6'7", but he was bent over a little bit. So landing underneath him, he had to be 4 or 5 feet, and it's hard. Nothing to brace that. I hope there's no fracture in that man. Jeez, that looked.
Let's hope.
bad.
Yeah, let's hope too. But again, even if it is, like I said, I broke mine, and I remember the X-ray showed just this tiny little fracture. It hurt like a son of a bitch. I'm not gonna lie. Love the painkiller prescription. Give me more, please. Oh wait, no. Now every doctor's scared to do it. But look, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do except just heal and rest, and it's just a pain
Toradol,
pressure
or whatever they call it. Shoot them up with what's that called? That Gary Payton was taking in Portland. The Toradol or something.
Well,
Toradol?
Whatever the
Major steroids.
yeah, whatever they were
perks,
giving them.
whatever they're gonna give them, man. Just take it and feel better. Zrokeach one saying, Frank, you're cooking tonight. Bravo, sir. I agree with that sentiment. G Code Travels Vlog POV writes, Larry, you're delusional when it comes to the Jung Ho Lee signing. I have no clue what that means.
Oh, well, I just said that he's not worth $19 million a year for 6 years. And then last year he had 260 and did nothing. This year he looks great, though. And he's playing great. He's on pace to have 68 doubles, 14 triples, 20 homers, driving 101 runs, and hit 315. So if it continues, they'll build a statue.
Okay. A statue.
Check back later. Check back later on. Something tells me I'll be right. But thanks for the call.
Vintage Mr. J, $5, writing that people forget Kuminga didn't play for a few months, then played a few weeks. They didn't play for a few games. Yeah, there's been zero consistency with his minutes. I wholeheartedly agree. A lot of donations here. Thank you, everyone. I'm getting through these. Please forgive me. O'Shea Barton, $10, saying, I think Jonathan Kuminga's IQ is just not good enough for the Warriors offense. He attacks Steven Adams, Van Vliet, and Green on him and shoots threes. He did good shooting threes tonight, but Podziemski has picked up this offense faster and better. Kuminga's a Grizzlies player. Any reaction to any of that?
We'll see. I mean, it hasn't happened here, but I mean, I'm on record as saying I think he'll be better somewhere else. You know, your job, none of these players are perfect players. Almost all the players. The NBA has become a developmental league. Nobody stays in college anymore.
Right.
You got younger and younger players, and you got to coach them up. You know, it's like you're going to blame the young players for not developing. Okay. But the coaching staff shares in that blame and that responsibility.
Let me say this. I think there is something to intuitive, smart basketball players. Like I wasn't good enough, but I think if I was good enough, I could have played in the Warriors offense and in their defense very easily. It would not have been a problem. I like smart coaches. I like all things intelligence, right? But remember when Dennis Schroeder was here? People killed him in the Bay Area. They killed him. They thought this guy was a G League player. Have you seen him play on Detroit?
Yes, he's playing good.
And
He's playing better than good.
He's playing great.
He was playing great before they got him, too.
Yes, right. So what that says is that it's the system. Yeah. And every player is not built for every system. Detroit has a very simplified system that speaks to Dennis Schroeder's strength. He's a high pick and roll guy who can make an occasional shot when he's wide open. He's a tough defender. Steve Kerr didn't ask him to do any of those things. He said, pass the ball and go stand in the corner and shoot threes. I can't do that. So Kuminga's going to shine somewhere else. Watch.
Right. Watch.
Yeah. Or, and I do believe this. I maybe there's a change in the coaching position after the season. I mean, a lot of it I think will depend on how the team does this postseason. But let's say they lose to the Rockets. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Steve Kerr's out of here, man. I really don't. Like for him to publicly say, thanks for the Jimmy Butler trade, but now you made your prize draft pick irrelevant in the process. I don't see how the front office takes that messaging publicly at that. Well, that's just me. I don't know.
You skipped Maritime. Don't skip Maritime Wake Gal.
Maritime. Wake Gal. Is that the handle? That's weird. Okay. I guess a wakeboarder saying the guy responsible for James Wiseman and Kuminga is Lacob. He cheaped out on paying Jerry West. If West stayed, super raw guys like Wiseman and Kuminga would not have been picked. Myers is a terrible evaluator. Wow.
Suppose he's going to be the next GM of the Suns, maybe.
Who might be the what? Say that again.
Bob Myers. I read today Bob Myers may interview for the Suns GM gig.
Well, that's interesting. I will say this about the Lacob thing here. First of all, Lacob did originally bring Jerry West in. I mean, I don't want to like just pretend that didn't happen either, right? Everyone just focused on the end of the story, is not how the story started. They're right that he lowballed Jerry West, and actually, I think on our program we reported that the specific amount was one. They offered Jerry West $1 million, and I think the Clippers offered $3 million a year. I don't blame him for leaving. But let me read this quote to you when it comes to James Wiseman, because it's obvious that James Wiseman was Joe Lacob's guy, but he wasn't just Joe Lacob's guy. And what I mean by that is when you actually read the quotes from Steve Kerr, he was Steve Kerr's guy as well. And here's what Steve Kerr said about James Wiseman. Okay. Just because this perception that Lacob was single-handedly involved in that pick is asinine. Steve Kerr told The Ringer back in 2020, and more specifically Logan Murdoch, quote, "You just rarely see an athlete like James. You rarely see a guy 7 feet tall who moves like that with that kind of coordination and hands and character. He was a leader in the clubhouse." And then it was a matter of really making sure we watched all the other guys and evaluated everybody. And the other guys were impressive too. I mean, Ball and Edwards really stood out, obviously. I think the whole league had those three guys at the top three. Everybody probably always says this, but I can tell you without hesitation, James was the top guy all along, unquote. And Joe Lacob saying, quote, "Our entire front office and head coach wanted to draft James Wiseman. We were universal in that regard," unquote. So I don't know. What do you guys think about all that?
Should have traded for the big D.
I think it was Colonel Mustard with the rope in the conservatory.
So two things that I heard around that draft. I can't remember what it was. It might have been on like a Bill Simmons podcast or something. Well, I heard that the number 2 guy was Halliburton, not LaMelo.
Who? What do you mean? What do you mean the number 2 guy?
The number 2 guy on their board. Not LaMelo.
Board?
Yeah, not LaMelo, not Anthony Edwards.
Who reported that? Because we need to.
I heard that as well, actually. I heard that as well.
Yeah.
Here's what I heard, and this is a source directly to Myers, which is that they tried to trade down from that pick. No one wanted it. So they kept it, and they picked them with Wiseman. But I need to know what the sourcing is on that, because everything I've heard behind the scenes and literally on record is that they were all very high on Wiseman. And I can tell you this about Anthony Edwards, who was available for the Warriors, but Steve Kerr single-handedly called Anthony Edwards lazy and shot the idea down. Wasn't impressed. So
and like Edwards said, that was like the turning point in his like career. But then I've also heard that LaMelo allegedly they're thinking tanked the interview with the Warriors. Like everyone just came off feeling like, oh my God, what a terrible.
When his dad, like back then, his dad was such an important figure. Like, would you guys have picked LaMelo in hindsight? Like, what would you guys have done if you had a chance to go back again?
Trade down, take Halliburton.
Yeah, but they didn't. No one wanted.
Probably would have taken Wiseman, but the bottom line is he looked great in the workouts. The guy spoke Mandarin, the whole thing, but he just had terrible hands, and he's just a big marshmallow.
Did you hear Edwards when he got fined for the other night?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He gets fined a lot.
Yelling at the Laker fans, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rip Coug Rebels in the chat is saying the Warriors have the number 2 pick. So how was Anthony Edwards available? Well, the Timberwolves were desperately shopping the number 1 pick. This is from Brian Windhorst of ESPN said, quote, "To go back to draft night, the Timberwolves were very interested in trading out of this pick. They were trying up until they were on the clock, from what I've been told, to get the Warriors interested in moving up. The Warriors had their draft pick this year, depending on where it falls, and I think they wanted it back, quite frankly. They were saber-rattling, according to the stories, that they were going to take James Wiseman. The Warriors were really locked in on James Wiseman," unquote.
I got that
I've
one
done a lot
wrong.
of research on this, man, because I'm trying to get the truth of everything here. And he was available. Anthony Edwards could have been a Warrior. Steve Kerr thought he was lazy. And people ask why I'm so frustrated with the guy. It's like
I got that one wrong. Based on his college career, and I didn't do enough intel, but I didn't think that he was going to be as good as he is. I mean, he's a fantastic player. Now, with regards to Wiseman, I mean, he tore his Achilles last year. He clearly wasn't the number 2 pick in the draft. But again, I go back to the Warriors' lack of development of players. You know, I mean,
yeah.
I think it's a problem. I mean, Quentin Post came into the NBA with the unique ability to shoot 3-point shots. Beyond that, I'm still waiting for some aspect of his game that I can say the Warriors have developed because I haven't seen it. So, I'm going to say this. The Warriors did not do a great job developing Wiseman. And not that he was a number 2 pick. I don't think that was his level of value. But I think this guy's going to probably be around for 10 years. If he was a bum and terrible, he'd be out of the league pretty darn quickly. Remember Rashid Tabit from UConn?
Rashid Tabit, yes.
I mean, that dude was on the skids like 2-3 years after being drafted.
Correct.
Because he wasn't that damn good. Why is he going to be a server so big?
Correct.
I mean, look at the guys on Boston now. Some of those big guys they have. Those guys are making a living because they developed.
Yes, sir.
And I'll say this, though. I think the Warriors did all they could with Wiseman. Even, they brought in Dejan Milojevic, who tragically passed a few years ago. But they brought him in to work with Wiseman because he worked with Nikola Jokovic, and he worked with some of the other big men and was very successful. But Wiseman wasn't that type of player, and he just didn't get it. Wiseman he just needed a lot more development than I think the Warriors thought. They looked at the raw talent, and I did too. I'm like Frank. I thought this guy was like, hey, the Warriors haven't had a center. This guy's 7'1" or whatever he was. He's athletic. He can run the floor.
He can shoot. Like they thought.
It's the problem is when you get into a personnel mindset where you're thinking about the future.
Yeah.
The future. What is Trey Lance going to be in the future? What's James Wiseman going to be in the future? And you know what the truth is? Kind of pretty similar to what they are in the present. Right? Because people don't change that much. They'll be a little bit better, but they're pretty much. Let's focus on what they're going to be right now, and let's let the future take care of itself. And when you're looking so far in the future, dreaming this dream of greatness, you can dream every guy's Patrick Ewing, every guy's Akeem Olajuwon, and most of these guys aren't. And the reality is he had such a short college resume. 3 college games, all he played at Memphis.
Yeah.
You had to be super convinced that this guy was the guy because there wasn't a lot of tape on him. They had a chance to interview him. They had a chance to talk to him.
Steve Kerr flew out to Florida for a private workout with him, and then flew out again and watched him with his Memphis teammates. Steve Kerr was so involved with that draft. It was crazy. And this quote, I'm going to read you one last quote. Sorry if I'm exhausting you with this, but this last quote I'm going to read you is why I think there is a possibility if the Warriors are bounced out of the playoffs that Lacob might have had his fill. And I read this quote to you because when you hear this, it does make you wonder if he's how, discontent he might be over the development. Here's the quote. This is pertaining to James Wiseman and Joe Lacob. And side note, I'm now on Substack. I decided no one's writing, so I'm like, dude, might as well start writing again. So if you want to read any of this content, I'm now doing the full-on journalism stuff on Substack. The handle is Dog Wild. The handle's right there. This was Joe Lacob pertaining to James Wiseman. Okay, and just let me know what you think about this quote. We might very well regret that one, longer term or even immediate term. I can't overrule what our basketball ops and our coaches and our players felt was the right thing to do. I think James is a really good player, and we're not going to get many opportunities to draft a young guy like that again. He really didn't have a chance. It's partially his fault, partially bad luck, partially our fault. for not playing him enough, unquote. Any reaction?
I mean, they did start him. Like, I feel like I do feel like injuries were a big part of this whole thing. I mean, I'm not
COVID thing. He got everything
thing,
went wrong for him.
And like, I'm not crazy. I watched that first like year he was on the team, however many games that was.
It
like,
wasn't bad.
There was legitimately clips where it was like, holy shit, is this Giannis? Like, he was running the floor doing Euro steps and dunking and like hitting threes and stuff. Like, it was very much like, I could see Kerr goes to a workout to watch this guy. I'd be enamored.
Wiseman, his rookie year, 11.5 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, 0.9 blocks per game.
What happened?
In just 21 minutes per game, he was putting that up. He also didn't have the hand issues. Those hand issues where he's fumbling all the time and couldn't hold on to the ball, that did not show up his rookie year. That was a mental thing, at least from my perspective. But
you know, in hindsight, obviously hindsight being 2020, but Larry talked about, instead of looking so much into the future, they lost Clay the day before the draft.
Yeah.
And they could have replaced Clay with
Good memory.
Edwards. They could have made that trade for Edwards.
Yeah.
Or got somebody to be that position, whether it was Halliburton or whatever. They just, man. And then
personnel is about having the conviction. I mean, you got to have the conviction. You know, Don Nelson had a conviction that Steph Curry was the guy. You know, he had the conviction that Dirk Nowitzki was the guy. He had the conviction that Steve Nash was the guy. You got to have that conviction. You can't just hang around and, watch a bunch of films. Jerry West had conviction that they should not trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. I mean, you got to have those. You got to have that. And
you've also got to look
at absence of that. You just can be lost.
Yeah. You also got to look at history of people when they have injuries, the type of injuries, the fact that Clay had come off a ACL and then he tears his Achilles.
Yeah.
You got to realize that he's not going to be the same Clay.
I mean, that was literally the day of the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not
day before, I think.
Day before.
Yeah.
It was announced the morning of the draft.
Yeah. But you have to realize that he was whatever age he was, 30-ish at the time, that he was going to miss a full year and he wasn't going to ever really be the same. And you got to say, it's like kind of like the Niners with Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I don't think Ayuk he might be in a couple years, and I don't want to get too far off this, but Larry, I got an idea, but this will never happen. If I was the Niners, would you try to trade up and get Travis Hunter? Kills two birds with one stone. Start him at corner and play him about 25 plays on offense a game that can be a difference maker.
It'd be great. But the 49ers
huge.
Have, in a lot of years, that'd be a perfect pick. This year, though, they have literally a dozen needs, so they really probably should just trade back.
But you get two needs there in one.
Right. No, seriously, he's a great player. He's clearly the best player in the draft.
I want to, unless I could go forever, but I don't want to exhaust everyone else and you guys. We'll start wrapping it up here. But Icy Travels leads to a soundbite I'm going to play right now of Stephen Curry talking about Jonathan Kuminga. Icy Travels drops $5 saying Kuminga not playing in the Clippers game, the Grizzlies game, the play-in, the Houston Rockets game 1 equals the Warriors play better. You can't tell us that in any of those games the Warriors would play better with him. I don't agree with that. I mean, the Warriors lost the Clippers game. The Warriors barely beat Memphis in the play-in game. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment. What do you guys think?
No, the statement has no nuance. Watch the games.
Yeah.
I mean, they got out-rebounded then about 20. If he goes in and he just grabs like 3 rebounds, maybe that's a different possession. I mean, listen, man. Credit always goes to the coach when they win. Stephen Curry is an unbelievable player. He can make coaches right.
Yeah.
Great players can do that. But that doesn't mean that a player who doesn't play doesn't have value. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that confuse making a case with an assertion. All that is an assertion. You just asserted that. You're not really defending that or supporting that.
And here is Stephen Curry. This was after the game tonight, courtesy
Hold on one second. I
Larry.
got to close my door. Hold on a second. Well, give me 30 seconds.
Okay. So Larry will be right back, but I'll cue this up anyways. This is courtesy of Larry's employer, my former employer, Ryan. You're a former employer, right? You worked at KNBR once upon a time,
I was
correct?
an intern.
Yeah, there you go. Good enough. You're part of the fraternity. Frank, you used to be a fill-in host there. Am I mistaken on that?
No, I was at KCK up in Sac.
Oh, okay. Well, you still did radio.
1140. Yeah, I did.
Close
radio.
enough. And Dan, you've been in the Bay Area your whole life. I feel like you've listened to so much KNBR. We might as well call you in the fraternity as well. So, Larry, this is your current employer that you're on the air, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Every weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. talking Niners and then some. This clip is courtesy of KNBR, and this is Stephen Curry after tonight's loss. The final score again in Houston, in case we never read that, 109-94. Steph was asked about Kuminga. Let's hear what Steph has to say.
You always say, stay ready, even if you're out of the rotation. Jonathan's obviously been out for a while. Did you know he would be ready, and did you think he performed like someone who was ready tonight?
I thought he played aggressive. I know he probably wants to play better and, knock the rust off. But as soon as Jimmy went down, I actually saw him on the bench and gave him a little love and knew he was going to get his number called pretty quickly. And that is the nature of this league. We talked about it all the time. It's just hard to know and predict when it's going to be. But for him to come out and play with energy and aggressive, with aggressiveness and just understand he can impact the game and he's going to have a huge part in what we do. I think whether Jimmy's out there or not, it feels like it could swing a different way. And so that's the challenge. And it's always been for him to see the pictures, understand the intensity that's out there, try to be in the right spots defensively. And then when he has opportunities to, be aggressive on the offensive end, take them. We trust him when he has the ball in his hands, and however many minutes he's out there and be ready to play.
When you talk about seeing the pictures with Kuminga, what do you mean by that?
Good question.
Understanding where help side defense is, where your driving angles are, and not driving into a crowd. If you're open, shoot it. All the decisions that you make pretty quickly. I think when we're at our best as a team, not just him, when we're at our best as a team, either me or Jimmy creates an advantage. We swing the ball, the ball starts hopping. You either get somebody at the basket, you get a clean look from three. You create closeouts that are really hard for teams to have to guard consistently. And just understanding where your spots are, and being aggressive in those opportunities.
All right. Any reaction?
There you have it. That's what I took out of that. They
Steph
don't trust
dresses like an umpire.
They don't trust Kuminga knows where to be in the flow of the game.
Just the fact that we're still talking about this at this point is ridiculous. I mean, come on, man. You have been playing every day or every couple days since Halloween, and it's almost May.
Has there ever been
I'm sorry, I'm not, and this is year 4 of this guy. It's like, figure it out. Either figure it out good or figure out how to move them. But to be sitting here on April the 23rd of 2025 is fail.
What?
Do you blame the Warriors for that, or do you have to look at Jonathan Kuminga and say he's super talented? But like Frank was saying, with Detroit, with Schroeder, he just hasn't fit their system. It's a complicated system. It really is for a lot of players. And Kuminga, he never played really organized ball until he came into the NBA. I mean, he played the G League, but that was just, they just threw the ball out there and let him do his thing.
They drafted him.
Yeah,
they drafted him. I mean, it's ridiculous. Could you imagine how much grief the 49ers would be taking if they were literally not playing Ricky Pearsall and they're like, he just doesn't fit our system.
Well,
He
Larry,
just doesn't
what
fit
if
our
they?
system.
Well, Larry, what if they? I'm glad you brought that up. What if they, instead of Ricky Pearsall, what if they still had Trey Lance, and he still wasn't? They still hadn't made a decision on him,
Right.
and like now, like 4 years in, he's still like sometimes starting, sometimes on the like. Is that a fair comp? Because I can't think of any other situation like this. And
But
in Bay Area sports.
I do think they made a decision on him. They didn't sign him. They didn't
Well, they
sign
offered,
him.
but they offered him 120 million, Dan.
Yeah,
And that was
but
stupid on his part in hindsight, I think.
Right.
I made that point the other day. Like in hindsight, JK. I mean, whoever
I don't
his
think so.
agent.
I don't think so. I think he's gonna give his money.
I kind of agree with Frank.
I
Come
think
on,
that's
man.
money.
He's going to wind up making more than 120 million.
Oh yeah, definitely.
he probably
Listen,
will, but it'll be an assign and trade. And
Well, who cares? It
I mean,
all
yeah,
spends.
I mean, think about it. Jonathan Kuminga is one of the few players who actually puts butts in seats.
Yeah.
I mean, you send him to any city, you're going to see little kids with Jonathan Kuminga jerseys on. Now, I'm going to say something about Kuminga also. Yo, man, we all have to look at Curry and say, this guy is a hell of a leader, great, blah, 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 and all those wonderful things. But he's not the type of coach to necessarily put his arms around all of his players. I mean, he's just he's a different type of coach. He's a Phil Jackson type pop, And some of these young boys that come into the league, they need that. Now, I'm going to tell you, look at Detroit. Detroit's not winning simply because they have a new offense or they have a new defense. BJ Bickerstaff has found a way to really get those guys engaged and make them believe. These are boys. These are young guys. And Kerr, to me, is not that type of coach. And I think Kuminga probably needed some of that. He wasn't mature enough to just, this is your job responsibility. Go do it. He needed to be coached up in an emotional way. And that's not something that Kerr does very well. I don't think he does.
Well, and there's a couple people in the chat like pushing back, like saying that the praise you're giving Kuminga is ridiculous, to which I say he was a number 7 pick for a reason. He was projected in some mock drafts to be the number 1 pick for a reason. He's a freakishly gifted athlete. Again, the low IQ dings that a lot of people give to him, I've never once heard that from anybody that's actually connected to the team, who's actually an insider. But Larry,
I can shut all those people up.
Say again?
I can shut every one of those people up.
Please.
This is 4 years in now, right? If Kuminga was in this year's draft, where would he be drafted?
First.
He'd be drafted in the top 5. So all
Second,
of that garbage.
Probably second.
Right. So
Right,
all the people that say that Kuminga's this and that, no. We're 4 years in, and you're talking about him. If he was in this year's draft right now, he'd be one of the top 5 picks. So don't talk about his value. His value is what it is.
I don't understand why people hate him. That's the part I don't get. Like, people have legitimate vitriol toward this kid. Why?
I think it's because of you, Cy. I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's because of Kerr. I think it's because Kerr made a decision, and you have so many people that just blindly worship every decision he makes. Steve Kerr goes, you're benched. Then half the fan base goes, he's benched because Kerr thinks he's not worthy, so that must mean he's an idiot. Like, it's insane. Like, I've never experienced another athlete like this.
I'll just say this. I'll say this. Last week, my brother was on post-game show, and as a coach, he said every coach wants to win. So a coach is not trying to not bench guys because if he thinks they can help him win, he's going to play them. I think with Kuminga, he had that great run before they traded for Jimmy, and then he got hurt, and he was blossoming into he was clearly the number 2 guy behind Steph. And they were going to Kuminga to be like the guy in clutch situations at times. They were just saying, take over. And that's what he is, an alpha. He needs to be the guy that is. And when Jimmy came, I do think things did change out there because the Warriors' style of basketball changed tremendously with Jimmy, because Jimmy was now like holding the ball. You'd see Jimmy with 4 seconds left, and he's like, you got to shoot. You got to shoot. And he goes up to shoot and he passes to an open guy in the corner with 2 seconds. And the guy throws up a 3, and makes it. But it was like Kuminga is a guy that has to be a guy that is like a like a bull in a china shop. Just go, boom, go to the hoop. And that's his game. And the Warriors are trying to get away from that, it appears to me, that they are saying we're going to run the offense more through Jimmy and Steph, and it's a 2 and their other 3 guys got to be aware of what's going on. And maybe
look at this. Like this guy Brad Wolf. Look at the fucking like this is how much people like him hate Kuminga. I've been here. I love Larry Krueger my whole life, but this shows insistence on Kuminga, like we're committing a fucking crime here, is a crock of shit that is hurting all your cred. This is literally the vitriol that Kuminga brings out in people, man. I don't get it. Now, some people say, like this guy or girl, I don't know what your gender is. Icy Travel says, why do you hate on Kerr? I don't hate Kerr. I believe in bringing truth to power, though. If anyone has power here, it's Steve Kerr, the man who makes $18 million a year as the highest paid coach in the NBA, a man who's allowed to hire his son, Nicholas Kerr. Side note, no one dares to call him Nick, and his last name for good reason. Explain that one, side note. But point is, Kerr has power, and I don't think he uses that power efficiently and to the best of his usage.
But let's go back to this, because don't you think before they traded for Butler, when Kuminga was playing out of his mind, that Kerr was like starting to really believe in him fully?
He benched Draymond, Dan, for Kuminga.
And I don't think it's intentional or personal. I do think he's making a coach's decision that says, I think we are better. Having him not play gives them, in Kerr's mind, gives the team a better chance to win. Otherwise, he'd be playing him. And he was playing him before they got Butler. So I think the Butler thing is really the thing that's changed everything.
Well, really, and it's just like Jason Tatum. Like Jason Tatum, when Kevin Durant came back from injury last summer, suddenly made Tatum irrelevant in Steve Kerr's mind, right? I'm with you, Dan. I don't think it's personal, if that's what you're trying to say. Like, I don't think it's a personal thing. I think I do agree with you. I think Kerr is just doing what he thinks is best. Mm-hmm. I think it's crazy. That's just, anyways. I
don't agree with it, and I think this idea that no one could win with this team besides Kerr is just crazy. You know, I don't know if they win 4 championships. He's brilliant. I mean, I think sometimes people get this sports god complex to think that these great coaches, these great general managers, that they are and not fallible. Everybody's fallible. Everybody is. But it's okay to acknowledge when you have a perspective that says that they are. The guy's great, but he's not perfect. There aren't any perfect people.
But didn't you just hear what Steph said? If you listen and read between the lines, Steph is saying, we got to make sure Jonathan knows where to be, what to do.
That's coaching.
But that's also coaching. Rust, Dan. I think a lot of that was also because he's missed so many games. That
I think he's just not picked. See, Kuminga is a guy that plays off of instinct when he has the ball. He knows what to do with it, but he doesn't know exactly what to do with the offense when he doesn't have the ball. He's got to be at a certain place setting a screen. He's got to be in a different spot on the court. And if he's just standing there not knowing what he's doing, then that is clogging up the offense. That's what I heard. That's what I heard Steph say.
And I think, like, on that point, also not even just related to Kuminga, I do think with like the way Kerr wants to run this offense, I do think Steph has a big say in that, because I think this is the way Steph wants to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until I see evidence of that, it's Larry, Claude Daddy Arcade.
Steph can do no wrong, but I mean, Steph and Clay and Draymond also wanted Avery Bradley instead of GP2. So I mean, it's
a good point.
You don't always listen to the players. Always, you hear your players. You don't always listen to your players.
Well, and then we have LeBron, the GM, right? Who like front offices for years listened to, and you saw how that turned out. Claude Daddy Arcades, Larry, you're one of your sponsors. saying, "Do you have any Ralph Barbieri stories?"
Around the Warriors.
It falls around the Warriors, yeah.
Well, I mean, Ralph, I can't get over how Andres Biedrins just can't make a free throw, Tom. I don't get it. Or, let's welcome to the Cambiar airwaves, Donald Foyle. Yeah, I love Donald. He's from a tiny little island called Canouan. Let's talk about Canouan. I've always loved talking about these islands. Or Ralph, I used to do the first 15 minutes of the before the pregame show, before sports phone, because the games were at whatever 7:15 or 7:30, right? So the pregame show started at 7:15. My shift started at 7, so I had to do 15 minutes every night before the Warriors. So I would do it from courtside, and a lot of times I'd sit next to Frank. I
remember that
a lot of those years, and I can remember like 3 or 4 times Ralph had this blonde girlfriend, and he kept getting to the game like mid first quarter.
I remember her.
Yeah, and she did just say she was striking, but I said to Ralph, how come? I know you live in Marin and the games are in Oakland and all, but I mean, man, I hate getting the games late. You're always coming to these Warrior games late. Why are you always late? You'd be like, when you're dating a girl as voluptuous and as talented and as beautiful as the girls I date, you like people to see them. So I like to be fashionably late so people can see us when we sitting courtside. Oh my God, beautiful, Ralph. So yes, those are my Ralphisms. Yeah, we welcome back a Donald Foyle. Let's talk Canouan. He went to Colgate. He was getting an education. There you go. There's
one of
Ralph.
a kind. One of a kind, man.
The great
Gay
Ralph.
Sharks. Gay Sharks. Did we get everything? Oh no, a couple. Gay Sharks. A few more here. Pay chats. Chardal dropping $1.99 saying, "I'm going to be at Game 3 of the 2025 NBA playoffs on Saturday." Are we doing a show Saturday together? I'm down if you guys are.
I'll give you a Gary Radnich on that one. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Sorry about that, Chardal. I care, but I just thought it was a good time to throw that Gary line out there.
Golden State 49ers love the name, saying, "Do you guys think Draymond Green gets ejected for that Jimmy Butler foul if the roles were reversed?" Yes. Yes.
I don't know. Draymond was wild in tonight. Like I feel like the Warrior, like the most impactful like non-calls were all like, related to Steph, but like Draymond was kind of going nuts multiple times. So
yeah.
Oh, I'm forever going to be curious about what him and Fred VanVleet were having a discussion about, because that was gonna escalate if people didn't get in. There was a security guard I never knew existed. Just popped in there. I don't know if you guys saw that guy. Dude was huge. He was like way bigger than Draymond Green.
Right.
Yeah. Brief non sequitur here, just related to Fred VanVleet. This popped into my mind.
Yeah.
What would you say? Because Larry, you had that stat about like how unbelievable their record is when they
11-11 without him.
Yeah. And it's like really his job is just to be, because it's just a bunch of young, athletic, freaky guys that are all kind of spazzes, and then Şengün and Adams. And it's like they don't know how to get into offense unless he's there. Like he's like the one responsible guy. What would you guess? Because he's not shooting very well this series. What would you guess his field goal percentage is for the year?
38%.
Who's Draymond?
Yeah.
No. He's talking about the point guard for
38
for Houston.
All right.
Fred
VanVleet.
Field goal percentage.
34.
3-point or just overall field goal?
Just field goal. So Frank's actually right. It's 38%. But that's shocking to me.
That's not good.
That you can be that important and be like a starting guard and like be a scoring guy and shoot 38%.
Well, Larry brought up his contract. He makes $42 million this year. He has a team option for $45 million next year. He gets paid bank. Well,
they tried to take that little kid from Kentucky to replace him, but he couldn't get on the floor.
Reed Shepherd, yeah.
I love Reed Shepherd, man. I love Reed Shepherd.
Oh, he's a talent. He's a talent. I'd take him right now.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah,
I feel like Kerr would get that guy on the court.
Yeah, right.
By the way, Ryan, you put something in the private chat that you didn't bring up, and I think you should.
Yeah.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, so I was just scrolling on Twitter, seeing if we were missing anything, any post-game comments or anything. I saw somebody 30 burner tweeted. It's a video of Jimmy Butler versus in 2023 versus the Bucks, and he's going up, and it's not quite as bad as tonight's injury, but it's the same injury. It's a pelvic contusion, and he ended up scoring 56 and 42 points in the next 2 games.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I just saw the video of it in the private chat. Wow.
Yeah,
sign me up for Jimmy
legit.
Butler pelvic contusion, please. I think he's coming back.
That might be Perk Jimmy. Perk Jimmy might just be a monster.
Hey, I was saying this on. It's kind of interesting because if you watch basketball all the time, like everybody does, you see these guys fall all the time. Like Steph constantly, goes in for layup, falls. I'm surprised that guys don't like when I played football, you wear your hip pads and you got your tailbone pad, and why basketball players aren't wearing that tailbone pad. It's just goes right. It's just like inserted in some
some of them do. Some of them wear.
Man,
what was your position again, Danny?
What's that?
What position did you play again?
Before I went to straight kicker. Was I was a defensive back and a wide receiver slot kind of
like a Ronnie Lott, like a Jerry Rice type.
Yeah, just as good, just kind
of like that.
Just hit just as hard as Ronnie, ran just as fast as Jerry. I just couldn't catch the ball.
Larry, what did you play?
What's that?
What did you play? What position?
I played a mean violin. No, I didn't. No, I played defensive end. I played defensive end and linebacker, basically outside linebacker and tight end. My number was 89.
Nice.
There you go.
I like it. Golden State Niners also saying the Warriors will win this series in 6. We're almost there. Let the jet fly. This is a record, by the way, for pay chats. Never seen anything like this.
Probably not a great way to shorten Kuminga's name, by the way.
Yeah, probably not.
No. is really good, but he's really bad with Steph. He doesn't work in the Warriors offense. It's like every other play, he misses a switch or is out of position. For example, he didn't force Green left once tonight.
Kind of reminds me of that band Quiet Riot. Remember, Come On, Feel the Noise? If you guys
yeah.
There you
go. And then 2 more HR, $2 saying Kuminga has shown that he's not worth investing in. And Let the Jet Fly, they're up in $1.99 saying, would you risk Rue back in 2015 and did coach?
Yes. It's a very controversial topic. I'm thinking about writing an article about that. As soon as the show's over, would you risk Rue back to 2015 and did coach?
Whoops, sorry. Hold on, let me get that back.
And if you say it kind of perplexing, it sounds really on the money. Would you risk Rue back to 2015 and did coach?
Hey, who do you think first one to figure it out gets a $10 super chat credit? What the heck is that? Would you risk
Rue?
That sounds like somebody from your HOA, maybe after a couple beers.
Rue.
Rue, the character from Winnie the Pooh, possibly.
Oh. Okay, well, there you go.
Oh my God, that is funny.
Sorry, did coach.
I just had to sneak that one in there. All right.
This is why you get more supers late at night.
I'm gonna try. He probably should have just paid a few extra bucks and got more words. Super
and what happens to that penny, by the way? Does somebody say, you know what? I mean, are they trying to lure us in? Or I don't get the $1.99.
Yeah, because it's not like they're trying to sell us.
Are they selling us? I'll take it. No, I want a dude. And how come there aren't a few $2.01? There's a lot of 99s. How about $7.99? How about 801? We're not getting a lot of that. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Guys, I gotta go because tomorrow's draft day. This is draft day.
Hey, Larry, you know what? It's only 5 minutes at 12. Let's get in one more mock draft. Can we?
One more mock draft.
Fire up the mock. We got a follow up. Hold on. Let the jet fly. Another $4.99. LOL, sorry, cracked screen. Would you risk rewinding back to 2015 with a different coach?
Hell no.
No. But I would move on 2 years ago. That's my answer.
That's crazy.
John, I'm happy you have. I'm happy you have all these super chats, man. This is great. Congratulations.
I kind of like the way you wrote the question out the first time.
I know it was better. Oh wait, no. Here we go.
Would you risk Rue back to
Rewinding back to
2015 and have did coach?
Have did.
did. Oh, you know what? I bet he meant to say F and he hit the D that's right next to each other, and it cost him another $5.
$1.99.
Have
Paid
did.
$4.99 to get it. Oh, jeez.
Coach, would you risk new back to 2015?
Rewinding
Have
back.
did, coach.
Would you risk rewinding back to 2015 and have a diff coach? Yeah, I see what he's saying. I should
Before
have
we
figured that
go,
out.
I'm looking at the other playoff series. Some of them are damn entertaining, man. Denver and the Clippers, I think, is the best non-Warriors Rockets series. Just me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Larry, what do you, any takeaways from the rest of the postseason besides Warriors Rockets?
I like the Clippers. I like the T-Wolves.
That's a good series too. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Clippers and the T-Wolves. I like the Clippers. I'll tell you, what's really scary is watching how well at times Kawhi Leonard is playing. I mean,
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard to me looks like he's playing at a level at times that he might be able to bring the title to LA.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks really, really great at times.
It's
He
the
was
Clippers.
insane.
How lucky are the Warriors to not like the hardest draw is on the other side. Like,
Yeah.
like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. They're
It
lucky
is
there, man.
the other side of that that 1-4-4-5 bracket or whatever. That is crazy. Yeah, you got the OKC and then you got Denver and the Clippers. So you're gonna, if you win this round, you don't have to face those guys. Like they get the winner of the Lakers T-Wolves, right? If they win,
Correct. Far more winnable than
Yes.
those other two. Oh my god! I like the Thunder are clearly going to win, but whoever comes out from that other side, that's going to be a series. And I don't know if this is a bold take. Let me know what you think. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who already to me have won the title of the most overrated team of 2025, they squeaked out a win over Miami tonight. The 10-seeded Miami Heat. The Eastern Conference is an absolute joke to begin with. But what I'm leading into here is second round, Cavaliers and Pacers. Is this a bold take that I think Indiana's going to knock them out second round? I like the Pacers.
I don't think they do.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right. Then it was crazy. Okay, I do. I think the Pacers have a shot, man. They look good. But
Yeah,
Any other
I like
takes?
this. I think it's going to be Cleveland and Boston in that finals, and I think it goes 7. I don't know who wins it yet. I have a feeling that goes 7, and it's going to be.
Do you say Clippers, Boston?
No, I said in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland and Boston.
Oh,
in
Boston
the-
will win. Boston will win easily.
You think so? I think it'll go. I think it could go 7 though. I don't know if it's easily.
I mean, yeah, Boston tends to kind of like play with their food a little bit, so I could.
Larry, what's a ball key? I know that's Trent Baalke, but do you do a good impersonation or what? What's
Larry,
You know, it's funny you should ask me, son. Because on the eve of the draft, I go back to the year where I drafted A.J. Jenkins. And I wrote his name in an envelope. And it's one of those things that sounds good if the guy can play. But when the guy can't play dead, it's just not quite as fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is good old Trent Baalke is a scout. And I'm getting ready for the draft, and I don't care if a guy blew out his ACL 3 years ago. It's not going to stop me from drafting him this year.
Who are the Niners taking, by the way? What's your prediction on that?
I would say they're going to take either if Mason Graham falls to them, I think they're going to take him. If he doesn't fall to them, I think they're going to take Shamar Stewart.
Ooh.
from Texas A&M.
You don't think they'll trade back and try to get?
I think they want to trade back. I think they would like to trade back. Yeah, I think they would.
If their guy doesn't fall to them. What happens if?
Well, I think they're going to wait until see if Mason Graham falls. If Mason Graham falls to them, I think they take him. If he doesn't fall to them, I think they'd like to trade back. If they can't trade back, I think they'd take Shamar Stewart.
Is there a surprise tomorrow with the Niners? Do they do the unthinkable and trade Purdy on draft day? No. Okay.
No.
I didn't. I don't know how those negotiations are going. I
would say no.
Things.
I would say no.
Is there a possibility, Larry, of Purdy coming back on just the final year of his deal? What is it, like $5 million?
No.
But why not? Would Purdy just not show up?
I think that it's they both sides have an interest in not seeing that happen.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Fair enough. All right. Yeah.
I'm giving still the draft. Jalen Milrose.
Who?
Milrose.
Jalen Milrose?
Yeah.
He's going to go in the first round, I bet. I bet he goes in the I bet he
4.3
goes around
speed.
I'm getting Lamar Jackson vibes. Lamar Jackson was a better passer at Louisville, but when I look at Milrose run, that dude is different. He really is.
He's got 4.3 speed. He's got a great arm. He's in terrific shape. He looked terrible in Mobile. It's going to take some development, but I like Jalen Milrose, a prospect, more than Shador, more than Dart.
What about Tyler Shuck?
More than Tyler Shuck. I don't like guys who've been in college for 7 years.
You mean the guy that's 4 years older than Kuminga or something?
Yeah, this guy's an older guy. He's been around.
He was Justin Herbert's backup quarterback.
Does Sanders fall in the draft? I read something tonight that said
I think
none
Mike
of his teammates
tries to trade up.
Party.
Yeah. Draft day.
All right, I'm going to go like this way. I know, Larry, you normally do this. I'm going to follow your lead on how you end shows. Frank, we'll start with you. Anything you'd like to plug and promote before we call it a night?
Yeah, this has been an incredible show. So I would love for people who, like some of the things I've said. If you hate me, then say, I hate you, dude. But just follow me, all right? Look at my the tag.
I don't think anyone hates you, Frank. I wouldn't worry about that.
Nah, it's all good, man.
I hope not.
No.
We're talking to hoops.
I'm
Frank,
joking.
I hate you for your basketball opinion. I hate you.
But check my show. If you like it, then subscribe to it. Follow me at Big Frank Red at X. And Rod, hit me up, man. On either side, you too. I don't know if you guys saw Sinners. The movie's phenomenal. So,
saw on IMAX today.
Yeah.
It was good?
Oh, my God.
Well, we didn't have Joker type musicals. It was actually not corny.
It's incredible.
What was the movie?
Sinners.
Oh,
by Ryan Krueger.
Well, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Oakland native, if I'm not mistaken, right? Ryan Coogler?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Oakland, originally from Richmond. Played football at Sac State, I believe. And
played a little football at St. Mary's.
You played football at St. Mary's, okay.
Oh, well, then transferred to Sac State after.
St. Mary's didn't even have football anymore.
They shut down the program. He transferred.
Then he went to film school at USC.
Crazy. Yeah, the director of Creed, Black Panther, and Sinners. Good stuff. All right, Frank, we'll see you soon. Thank you, brother. Dan, Coach Emilio, final thoughts? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, just I do baseball a lot every post game. Giants, NorCal Sports Network, and Giants front office. If you're listening, can you take Jordan Hicks out of the rotation, please, and put Hayden Birdsong in there? I think Hicks throwing 103 in the bullpen for an inning versus throwing 97 and getting rocked as a starter might be a smart move.
Cool. Dan, thank you, sir. Have a great night. Rye?
Nothing to promote. I just will say that I actually am a little bit of a Kerr stan, I would say. But my one note to Kerr, if I'm going to be critical, I saw in the post game that he came out with some serious pearl clutching about the FU Draymond and pulled the he has kids type thing, and it's just like, come on, this is basket, this is playoff basketball. Like who like seriously,
he does that. Like he'll do like
gross.
I remember he did that about Nico Harrison. Remember like when Nico first made the trade and apparently he had a death threat or something like that. I mean the fans were pissed. And I remember Kurt coming out going, I had death threats when I was a GM of the Suns. And it's like, come on, take it.
It comes off as just pompous and
Yeah,
just makes everybody like the Warriors less. So
Chill.
It's a Popovich move.
total Popovich move.
That's a good call. Good call. Good call. Ryan, have a great night, brother. Great to see you. Larry, my brother, we're done. Any final thoughts from you?
Well, as the famous philosopher one time said, would you risk Rue back to 2015 and have did coach?